Welcome to Boris FX Live, sponsored by Dell Precision Workstations, create without limits, and by NVIDIA and Intel.
Hello, and welcome to Boris FX Live, your regular look into everything Boris FX and beyond. And we've got a huge show for you today because you are joining us to take the first look at Sapphire 2022 and Continuum 2022. And there's tons of stuff. There's actually so much stuff that we couldn't fit it all into one live stream. So what we've had to do is just take our little favorite bits. So over the next couple of hours, we are going to be looking at some of the new features in Continuum and Sapphire. And we have a whole cavalcade of presenters who are going to be showing you some of the ropes in the new thing. But obviously, what would Boris FX Live be without me stuttering through the introduction? So I'm going to say thank you to everyone for being here live. The reason that I'm thanking you for being here live is so that you can ask your questions. So how do you get involved? Well, if you're watching on YouTube, you can join us on the chat, which is just to the right hand of your viewer. And if you're watching at borisfxlive.com, then you will also see a beautiful little chat window just there. There we go. Excellent. And there's Brian just chatting in. Hello. And what other reason would we want to have for going to borisfxlive.com? Well, of course, we have giveaways. We've got big prizes to give away today, and we need you to go to borisfxlive.com for your chance to win. So go to borisfxlive.com, scroll to the bottom of the screen, and you will see your little enter to win here thing. So choose how you want to enter and put in your details there, and you could win one of our big prizes. Mr. Brian, what prizes do we have today? We don't have a graphic, do we? Yes, we do have a graphic. We are giving away Boris FX swag. Yes, you asked for it. We provided it. We have Boris FX merchandise. So your choice of t-shirts, hoodies, and I've been told more. So one lucky winner is going to be getting a nice big bit of swag. You can take out the merchandise yourself if you have a look at the YouTube chat. It'll be pinned to the top there as well. But we're also giving away a 1-year subscription of the Boris FX Suite, an annual subscription, some might call it, at a $12.95 value. And we are going to be giving away, because I'm feeling very generous, a 1-year annual subscription of Continuum and an annual subscription of Sapphire as well. So join us at borisfxlive.com. Go to the competition. Full terms and conditions are found there. But obviously, I can't do this all myself, as it's been very clear. So I'd like to say thank you to our sponsors, NVIDIA, Dell, and Intel, for helping us put the live stream together. Very thankful to our sponsors every single time. And especially big thanks to Dell for the next graphic. Our Dell Precision Workstations, the #1 workstation brand in the world. Intelligent performance, immersive productivity, mission critical reliability. Thanks, Dell. Okay, so the height of professionalism for all of our sponsors. That's good. It's good. It's some have called it Lucy, others have called it Goosey. Mr. Brian Fox, hello, welcome.
Hey, Ben.
Mission Control.
Ben. Good to see you.
Good to see you
Excited
too.
for you. Freestyling, added prizes to give away, so you are in control. That's great.
Very good.
Boris FX Suite, license for Sapphire, license for Continuum, and swag. Awesome stuff. Lots of fun stuff to talk about today, right?
We do.
Products.
We do. Do we want to give away some of the stuff we're going to be talking about? I think we probably want to tease it a little bit, don't we?
We do.
I mean, we've got a bit of particle illusion. We've got new host support for Sapphire.
Mm-hmm.
We've got faster speeds. We've got some UltraZap stuff. We've got brand new effect, ColorFuse. We've got some more Sapphire preset stuff. And, not to be outdone, we have a whole bunch of new filters for Boris Continuum as well, which is going to be very exciting.
Super excited. Sapphire for Photoshop. This has been a long time coming.
It gives it away.
Come on.
You know,
I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it.
I was trying to tease it. And there you are, just giving away the farm.
This is going to be a live stream chock full of stuff. Let's bring everybody in, right? Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, we've got a rogues gallery of presenters here.
Everybody's mic is off.
With the top, shall we? Perfect. No, keep them off.
There we go. We're all on.
We're going to start with we'll start with Alan, shall we? Alan Lawrence. Hello, Alan. Welcome.
Hello. Hi, Ben. Hi, Brian, and everybody. Excited to jump in and start talking about this stuff finally.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's been a lot of silence around a lot of shrouded in secrecy, which has been excellent. Yeah. So also joining us down in the bottom right-hand corner is going to be Mr. John Dickinson, live from
That's a suitable place
Australia.
for me, isn't it, Ben? Coming from down under, down in the bottom corner there.
I think it is.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be here.
And
Looking
working
forward
our
to
way
showing everyone some
around.
UltraZap.
Ooh. You've got a couple of things to do today, John. Actually, I'm going to surprise you with one other task. So yeah, giving it all away, right at the very top. Moving on in a anti-clockwise or counterclockwise. See, I've been learning kind of fashion. We are going to go to Peter McCauley. Hello, Peter. Welcome to Boris FX Live.
Hello. Hey, folks. We're excited here to show you some super fast Continuum. I think you're going to be pleased with what you're going to see from
really cool
from Nick's prezo.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and finally the final rogue is going to be Mr. Nick Haraz. Mr. Nick, hello.
Welcome, Mr.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
We have some special news. We have some special. Look at that. Look at that lower third down there.
What's that say?
That's something new.
What does that say? Yes, it is totally new. I'm so excited to be part of this. Did you just say cavalcade at the beginning? Because I'm really excited to be part of this cavalcade today.
I might have said I said cavalcade. I said cavalcade. I said rogues gallery. Yeah, I think whichever you want to be. If you want to be part of the cavalcade, yeah.
You got me really excited though when you said cavalcade, so I want to be part of the cavalcade. This is going to be fun.
Good.
Welcome to the team. Welcome to the Boris
Nick.
FX team, Nick. I mean, I feel like you've been working for us for years and just haven't getting paid. So thank you. Welcome on board.
This is one way to do it. Yeah.
Official capacity. Now I don't have to feel so bad asking you for favors, and I can demand them nonstop. So thank you so much. Excited to work with you. Excited to have you on the Continuum marketing team. Definitely fun stuff. Going to be a fun 2022 for Boris FX with you on board. So thank you so much. Excited to work with you.
Awesome. Excited to be here and learn from you guys today as well because of all of the stuff you just mentioned.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about.
We've got
a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Should we do it?
Should we do it?
Who's going to be first up? I think we're going to have a look at particle illusion. So I'm going to throw over to Alan. Alan, are you ready to show us some new stuff in particle illusion?
I am ready. Yes, I am. We don't have time to go into anything in real depth, so I'm going to breeze through some stuff and start showing you particle illusion here. So let's go ahead and get that going. All right, it's going to move quick, but there's going to be lots of great examples and time for some questions. So particle illusion, I've just got a quick little burst of particles that comes out here. And if you've used particle illusion before, you know that the way to affect particles after they're created is to use a force object. And so I've got a force object set up here. Right now it's just kind of a normal straight force object blowing particles to the right. But we're going to go ahead and change it into a fluids object. Yes, we now have fluid simulation inside particle illusion. And inside the force object, you'll see a new Enable Fluid Dynamics checkbox. If I just check that, instantly we see that we have a fluid simulation happening inside that force area. Again, I'm going to move really quickly. A lot of what you are probably wondering about is going to be shown in some examples, and I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty. We will cover that in future videos. But what's great about this, I guess the main thing that you should take away from this, two things. Number one, we made it as easy as possible to use fluids in particle illusion. Not a lot of stuff to set up. Like you saw, I just click one checkbox and it starts doing something automatically. The second thing I want to point out, and it's a kind of important thing, is that the particles themselves provide the fluid motion. So if you don't have particles moving around into that force object or into the fluids, nothing's going to be happening. So the particles kind of control everything. That makes it, one, super easy to set up, and also really easy to add fluids to existing emitters. You know, if you have a smoke emitter or fire of some sort, you can drop it into a fluids force and immediately get fluid dynamics without having to twiddle with a lot of settings. And so let's take a look at that real quick. The settings that you do have inside the fluids, we've really got just 3 parameters inside the force object itself. It's the viscosity, the swirling, and the simulation detail. Simulation detail is the main one. Lower settings are faster to calculate, but they give less detail. So that if you want big sweeping motion and you don't care about a lot of little details, go to the lowest setting. The middle setting, 32, is pretty much the one I use most of the time, just because it's a good compromise between a lot of little details and speed. And then if you need a lot of detail, go up to 64. It's not ideal for every situation, and I think this emitter might be set up not quite perfectly to get the most out of a 64 resolution simulation, but that's essentially the high detailed one. It's a little bit slower to calculate, and so you probably don't want to use it all the time, but those are your options. The second, I think, most important parameter here is swirling. And swirling, with a single emitter, it's really important. So if I set swirling to 0, I've just got a stream of particles, and not too much is going on because there's nothing sort of interfering with that flow. It's just straight through. You get a little bit of a sort of bow wave at the beginning of that, but nothing else happening. If I had more emitters or other forces or something, then those particles would start swirling a little bit more. But usually just turn up swirling, and that adds some in there for you. Real easy. And viscosity is the one that I don't use too much, but it's there. You can crank that up, and that controls the sort of the thickness of the fluid. So rather, like when it's 0, think of it as maybe water, and then as you crank that up, maybe it turns more toward oil, and so things move a little more slowly, less sort of turbulence happens in it. And that's all the controls you need, really. The rest of the control just comes from the emitters themselves, really. So if I go ahead and, let's say, rotate this emitter a little bit, and then increase the velocity, you'll start seeing the fluids behaving in a little bit different way. Also, the type of force object is really important to what the final look is. And right now I have this set to a box force, and there's 3 types. There's a box where the strength or the force strength is all in one direction, and right now, like I said, it's set to going to the right. We've got a box grid, which breaks that up into a bunch of different smaller forces that can be randomized, and so that gives you can see right away that gave me sort of a different look going on here, because those particles are now making those fluids swirl all different directions. And then there's the sphere. And if I change it to a sphere, this to me is kind of the most useful one for general sort of fluids play, let's call it. So, if you just want to experiment with making things swirl in cool ways, I recommend this changing that force into a sphere. It's really the best way to do it. I also want to point out something that's inherent to force objects that you might not have thought of. And that's any particles that don't go into that force area are not affected by the fluid simulation. So anything outside of that area is just straight normal particles. Then it starts the simulation. And if I can go ahead and crank up that velocity a little bit more, we'll see some of those particles maybe coming out of the other side, and then they no longer are affected by that fluid simulation. So I think that shows pretty briefly how particles work. I'm going to go ahead now and add my second emitter in here, because I think for me fluids really kind of come into their own when there's multiple emitters going on here. So I added my second emitter, and I didn't have to set anything up for fluids, again, because the fluids simulation is inside the force object. So I can add as many emitters as I want, and they will start combining their motion into the fluid sim. And then what's really interesting is we have this affect fluids parameter inside the emitters. Now this is what you use to influence the fluids. So if I wanted to, and I wanted, let's say, these green particles to provide a lot more, let's say, of the motion to those fluids, I can crank that up a little bit, the effect fluids, or I can crank down the effect fluids on the other emitter. And now you'll start seeing that the green particles are really taking over. I should probably turn this strength of this emitter down as well, so the particles are not getting all sucked into the center. But it's really a flexible way to go ahead and interact particles and just get some really neat results. And this is all working in 3D, of course. So if we switch to the world, these emitters are kind of set up a little bit narrow, so the things are happening in a more of a planar way. But if I add some depth to this, or if I offset things, we'll start getting a lot more 3D action going on, and you'll see that in some of my other examples too. All right, so you can see, like, you know, I started adding some more emitters, and I've got some sort of a complex thing going on here, and you might be able to envision that you can do some really complex projects with this sort of thing. But the good news is you don't need to do a lot of work, because we have done a lot of the work for you. And that's, I'm kind of going to segue into another feature here of 2022, and that is library scenes. So you may already be familiar with the fact that we've got a huge collection of emitter libraries, and you get a live preview over here to click and drag around and see what those emitters can do before you add them to your project. Well, in 2022, we've added what we're calling library scenes. And library scenes are a couple key things about them. You'll notice that they have a little plus sign in front of their name. That's so you can tell which ones are scenes. And secondly, they don't have a live preview. So they are just a static image, a thumbnail of what's going on. And that's because essentially the scenes are like a whole project inside a preset. So I'm just going to start and just apply one of these that I know is a nice simple fluids example, and double click that, adds it into my project, and you can see what happened. It added an emitter, it added the fluids force, it actually added another force that is disabled that I could enable to get something else to happen here. But you can see that with very little work, I've just added a cool fluids example here. And at this point in my presentation, I have to switch back and forth between renders and sort of screen sharing. So I have pre-rendered a lot of that out, and Brian is going to go ahead and start showing you what's going on here. Yeah, so here's that same burst example in the rendered form, and then I took that, and now I'm just adding multiple copies of it at different times. So it's just this easy to build up something that's a pretty complex look. So here is the rendered version, where I've just got 3 of the bursts in a row. I have added glow to this as well, but you can see how quickly I built something that was really complex. And then I took that a different way, and I just duplicated that emitter, and then I just made some multiple, a few little changes to it. And that's because the fluids are influenced by the velocity of the particles, the number of particles, all those things. So I added 3 copies of that in, and now you can see that there's just so much going on with like really little effort. And here's another example. I've got 3 emitters that are mixing together in the same fluid object, of course. And now let's say I wanted to add that same burst that I just used and I wanted to sort of blow those particles apart. So I just added that in time. And I did a draft render here just to see what it looked like at full speed, and it's not really having the impact that I wanted. So I went ahead back to that triple sort of starburst where I had 3 copies in, and that now you can see is blowing those particles away just how I wanted it to do. It's just so much fun to play around with the fluids. It's just a really fun creative tool. And so now we'll look at some examples of some things that you can do. Here's like a really strong force and some tendrils that are in fluids, just beautiful stuff. Here's a great example of some more multiple emitters all moving together. I'm not going to describe every single one of these. It does repeat a few times, so if you saw something you really liked, it's going to come back around and I'll make some comments about it. But these were all really pretty easy to set up, and the great thing is every one of these examples is saved in the emitter library, 2022 emitter library as scenes. So you will have these available to just apply as soon as you download and install it. This one's pretty interesting, and it's probably going to end before I can describe it, but it has a force that just moves around and animates negative to positive in the strength and does some really cool things. I'm just so excited about fluids. Really easy to use with, lots of fun. And I think I'm going to open it up to questions now, as these will play a little bit more. And let's see if we have any questions coming in from anybody.
We have questions. We do have questions.
Excellent.
I mean, and this one you've answered, but I think it's probably a good idea to ask or answer it again. Are the particles affected by each other in fluid motion, or is it only being affected by the force?
The particles themselves. So if I have, let's say 10 particles that are moving into that fluid object, all 10 of them are going to be contributing their motion to the fluids in general. So I mean, you're not going to get that little level of granularity, but they're combined sort of motion. So if I double the number of particles, then there's more motion happening, and so on and so forth. So we're not doing particle collisions, but the fluid, all the particles are definitely affecting the fluid field. Unless you set that affect fluids. If you set affect fluids to 0, then they will have no effect whatsoever, which is another way you could use it.
Another question then is, can you apply this to an invisible shape? I'm not quite sure what that is. I think maybe if the maybe it's the shape of the force, possibly.
Possibly
so the moving around a force.
I'm not sure I understand the question. The forces have predefined shapes. You can set the force, bigger than the screen so that it's, the entire area, or like in this example here, you can go ahead and just set it to a smaller area and get that interaction between the force boundaries. We might need to follow up on that one.
Yeah, I think, what would happen if you applied a negative, like a really large negative force value to a fluid dynamics object then?
If it's a sphere force, the particles will be repelled from the center. So you can have, you can make it look like there's something, sort of invisible there. Yeah, if you're talking about, like, you want it to look like it's running into a, an invisible sphere or something, yes, it can kind of get that look. It's not quite maybe exactly what you're going for, but it's something like that is possible.
Okay, cool. I think I've got one more, because I know we are having to be quite short with time and stuff. But that little blue line at the bottom of the timeline, what's that doing?
That is
Can we go back to your screen share?
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. All right, so you're talking about this little line that's sort of running as I jump around.
Yes.
That is that's the caching. So what it's doing is that's something that's new.
Hang on a second. I think we might be Brian. You might need to just swap over to Alan's screen share, please. Throwing in for a loop.
Are we seeing it?
We're not. We're not. And now we're just.
There we go. There we go.
There we go. There we go.
It didn't take.
Perfect.
It didn't take. So yeah, the that blue greenish line is the caching of particle calculations, which is not new in 2022. We had that in a previous release, but it's definitely one of the performance enhancements that we've made in recent releases. What that allows is that fluid calculations are pretty intensive, and so by caching those calculations, it's not an image cache. It's not doing a render cache, but it's doing a calculation cache. And you'll see if I change some value, you'll see that recalculate and recache. It's just a way to get better performance while you're in the PI UI.
Excellent. A very, very, very final one. A new question that just popped up. Can you get the particles to hit an object and bounce back?
You can with deflectors. That's not forces. Those deflectors are a hard, sort of a hard barrier, whereas forces are, I guess, could be considered a soft barrier in a way. You could make them into a soft barrier, yeah. So that would be deflectors. That's a little bit different thing. Deflectors act a little weird with fluids right now. I think we need to improve the way that interaction happens. So, but definitely, yeah, that's possible. I guess it all depends on what your, goal is. The details of what your goal is really comes down to.
Yeah. And we do have videos about deflectors already on our channel and on the training website as well. So if you do want to get an idea about how deflectors work, then I think John's done the video on that one. So check it out. We got no videos on fluids yet. Stuff. Not yet, but soon.
Not yet, but soon. Yep.
Everyone. Yep. Alan, thank you very much. That was
thank you.
Was great. I know we've still got tons of questions to go through. We don't have time. We've got so much stuff we have to pile through. So I'm going to say goodbye to you for now. We'll still be around for the chat, I assume.
Yep.
So if people have questions in the chat, they can get going there. But thanks, Alan. Thank you very much. That was wonderful.
So pretty, Alan. Great job. I mean, make that stuff look easy. So, I mean, fluids is like, as everybody can see, right? It's jaw-dropping renders out of there. So pretty, so pretty. Yeah. Wish I could see
sexy particles.
Great job, Alan.
Yep.
Thanks.
I think do we have a prize to give away?
We do.
Well, good. But before we do that, I want to say if everyone liked the Alan's presentation as much as I did, then there's no excuse not to go over to YouTube and hit that little thumbs up button. It helps us out a lot. Everyone loves being told to go hit the like button, but yes, YouTube's algorithm is fun and dark source, so we don't question why we need to do it. We just do it. It's like a cargo cult of some sort. But on that note, let's give away some stuff. We got some swag to give away, do we not?
We do.
Okay. And we all going over to Kit Howell. Kit Howell, congratulations. You have won the first prize of the stream. It is one item of your choice from our YouTube store of Boris FX swag. And it seems like John's just choking up over there.
I turned him off.
I mean, that's amazing. I was slightly
sorry, John,
slightly taken aback as well. Congratulations, Kit. Well done.
Panic director move there. Just full panic. Congratulations, Kit. Great job. Nice work. Nice work. First of many winners today.
First of many winners. How do people How do people join in the competition, please, Brian? Tell me.
So, if you want to join in our competition, head on over to Boris FX Live. And if I had my act together, I could show you what it looks like on the website right here. So, if you're watching on Boris FX Live or if you're watching on YouTube, head over to borisfxlive.com, scroll to the bottom, and you'll see a little entry form. Put your name and email in there, and you will be entered to win today. We have not pulled the winners yet, so go ahead, put in your name and email. You'll be entered to win 12 months of Sapphire, 12 months of Continuum, or 12 months of the Boris FX Suite. Full terms and conditions do apply. Good luck, everyone.
Good luck, everyone. Congratulations to Kit again. All right, let's move on. We've got so much stuff to do. I think it's actually me coming up now. I am going to be showing off a brand new host, brand new host support for Sapphire, and that brand new host, which has definitely not been spoiled earlier on in the stream by Brian, is
vMix.
Is that the it's vMix?
It's vMix.
What is going on?
We actually did.
That's not good.
We actually did. This is a great question. We had someone ask what streaming software we use. But Sapphire sadly does not support vMix. If the nice gentlemen from vMix are watching, I would love some Sapphire transitions in vMix. I'd love a nice glow dissolve in there as well, but not yet. But
vMix did just break my desktop capture, like literally seconds before. So give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's okay. Let me jump on camera. So we are excited to show off Sapphire and Photoshop, the brand new host for Sapphire. Like, if you're like me, I've been using Sapphire for a long time. Anytime I did a still, I was always wanted to put a lens flare in or put something in, so I would jump into After Effects, have to render stuff out. I'm happy to say that is no more. We now support Photoshop as a host application, and I see Ben's got his UI up. But I will say, this is my favorite part about it. Sapphire for Photoshop is a free add-on for any license of 2022. So if you upgrade to 2022, if you are on subscription for us, if you get a free upgrade because you bought 2021.5 and you're still on the upgrade and support plan, so you're going to get 2022, you get Sapphire for Photoshop. It just comes with anything. You know, if you're on an Avid subscription, you're going to get Photoshop. So it's just a new installer on the website, and your existing license will unlock it. That's just the beginning. Some really cool stuff with Sapphire and Photoshop we've figured out. So I'm going to hand back to Ben so you guys can stop hearing me vamp.
Well, very good, very nice vamping.
I like that.
But yeah, I mean that's probably the important thing is that you hit right there, is that everyone who has Sapphire 2022 will get Sapphire for Photoshop, whether it's an Adobe license or an OFX license or an Avid license. You're going to be getting this, and the reason for that is actually kind of important, because you know this is the first time that we've had the entire suite of Sapphire available in Photoshop. We've had bits of it. We've had some of the effects available in optics, but the idea behind Sapphire for Photoshop is a little bit different. Obviously, you can use it if you're if you're a photographer and just working on stills. But one of the big advantages for Sapphire here in Photoshop is that you can use it as a jumping off point to other applications. So this is going to be great for creating, style frames or just, coming in and noodling around on a still in Photoshop. Actually, let's start off with this. Let's stop the nattering and actually just come in and show you what we're going to do. So I've got a still here, which I've taken from a video, and I'm just going to create up a little style frame. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this to a smart object. And the reason for that is that I want everything that I do to be non-destructive. And by protecting it in a smart object, everything I'm going to do now is going to be completely non-destructive. So I'm going to come to my filter. You'll see that Sapphire just pops in our filters. And when I apply it here, we get into the Sapphire builder. Now, if you've used Sapphire before, hopefully the builder is going to be very familiar to you. It's a sort of, it's a way of chaining different effects together in a nodal based system. And it's really at the core of Sapphire for Photoshop. So what I could do is I can add any of the effects that we have over on the left hand side. So this is pretty much all of the Sapphire effects. Come in here. I'll just choose Gamma because it's at the top. And this will then drop that into my workspace down in the bottom there. Over on the right hand side, I've got all my parameters, so I can come in here. I can make this a little bit darker, come in, scale the lights up, do whatever I need to do in the parameters, and I'll see this over in my viewer. Now, as Brian said, you know, one of the things that people look for a lot and have been missing a lot in Photoshop is Sapphire's lens flares. And this is where we can come in. I can just type in lens flare. And here we go. Or even just type in lens. And I've got my lens flare there. I'll just double click on that. And that will then drop that in line in my workspace down the bottom. Now, the cool thing about this is that I have access to all of the regular presets that we have. So if I go into load preset, it's going to take just a moment to load up the presets the first time. There's a lot of presets it's going to be loading up. But once we've done this once, it's all going to be very, very fast to work with after that. So I can take a look at all of the sort of factory bundle presets, or just look at the new stuff. This is also new. Everyone loves the fact that we always give a few new big presets with our lens flares, just to show off some of the new capabilities. And obviously 2022 is no exception to that. We've got some cool new stuff, but no, I'm not going to get distracted by lens flares. It's very easy for me to get distracted by lens flares. I'm just going to come into featured, which is where we put some of our favorites. So some stuff that have maybe been tweaked up a little bit, or just stuff that we haven't seen for a little while. I'll choose one of those. So I'll drag this over out of sight. So what I'm going to try to do is sort of build up the light that's already there. So we can see the light's coming from this direction, because that's where the light is on her face. And I'll come in and I'll just make this a little bit bigger, a little bit brighter. Nothing too clever here. But the nice thing about having the effect here in our nodal based system is that I can always come in and I can tweak stuff that's earlier on in the process, or earlier on in the workflow, and kind of just get the look that I'm going for there. So just bring that in around about there, maybe. Okay. I'm going to add one more effect because I want to show you one more thing before we move on. Let's come down to my distortions, warps, stylize, transitions. I'm actually just going to type in warp. That's going to help out a little bit. And I'm going to go warp. Let's do warp chroma. And this is one of my favorite effects. You wouldn't know it from looking at this, but that's why I always go in and take a look at the presets whenever I add in a new effect. Like, there'll be very few occasions where I'm going to be starting out from scratch on any of these effects. So if I just want to add a bit of subtle chromatic aberration, I'm going to use one of John's presets there. And what I can do is maybe let's just crank that out quite a lot so we can see exactly what that's doing. But obviously that's kind of coming in and that's messing up all of the image for me. So I want to do something slightly different. You'll notice that some of these nodes have secondary inputs to them, and some of the nodes have tertiary inputs, or 3 or more inputs.
Impressive.
And what we can do is we can. I like my words. I like my words. So what we can do here is we can pipe in different nodes into these. So for example, with Warp Chroma, I've got a matte that I can pipe in. So if I do shape, come into here, and I'm a man true to my word. I'm never going to start from scratch. I'm always going to start with a preset. Oval for mask. Look at that one. Beautiful. Let's preview that selected node and just come in and let's tweak that up a little bit so it's just going into the center here. All right, now I can pipe in that shape into my map for the Warp Chroma. Let's turn that off so you can see what's going on. And now it's only affecting the bit in the middle. That's kind of the opposite of what I want, but that's fine. I'm going to come over, I'm going to invert my matte, and now it's going to be taking over and masking that out exactly how I want it to go. And I can just twist that up a little bit and do whatever I need to do. It's looking a little bit steppy, so maybe let's take the step number up there we go, just to make that a bit more sort of, I know, not subtle, but smooth. Smooth is the word I'm looking for. And let's hit OK on that. And that will then go along, have a little think, come out, and it will give me the effect directly in Photoshop. So if it's not exactly what I want, if I want to do anything else with it, all I have to do is just double click on the Sapphire filter at the bottom because it's applied as a smart filter. Remember, we're working non-destructively. Let's zoom in here. Oh, this is something I promised that I would remember to say and almost forgot. Something brand new with Builder for Sapphire 2022. One-to-one pixel, what's it called? Pixel preview. Is that what it's called? What's it called, Brian?
Pixel preview.
Pixel preview. Look at that.
No. So it's 100%. So you
no,
can see the full image. Pixel preview sounds good to me. What I was going to say is previous versions of Builder, right? If you had a big image, a 4K image, it sized it down and gave you a low res preview. And so now in 2022, you can look at the full pixels. So you can see the full image. You can look at one-to-one, and you can shrink it down to fit your little window as well. But that's really cool. I mean, we knew we had to add this upgrade working in Photoshop because we're going to be working with big, huge images, and everybody's going to want to see that one-to-one pixel ratio. So yes, and that is in all of Builder too, not just in Photoshop. So in After Effects, Resolve,
that's it.
Yep, everywhere.
Yep. Because that's the important thing, is that it was brought in because we knew we were going to be working in big images in Photoshop, but obviously everyone's going to have the benefit of that no matter what version of Builder you're working on. So let's crack on here. So I can make changes, I can do all that sort of fun little stuff. I want to show you another thing, because I know that time is ticking. So very, very quickly, I'm just going to start up a brand new image. I'm going to convert this to a smart object as well, even though it's just a white background. Remember, we're going to work non-destructively. I'll apply my filter in there. Maybe I should have applied it down the bottom. It's going to just show my other little node thing there. Let's just get rid of all of that. We saw that we could use preview. Oh, sorry, we could use presets. Thank you very much. Yeah, we could use presets in individual effects, but we've also got builder presets. Now, a lot of these are created by the one and only Mr. John Dickinson, and these are very, very pretty. And these are sort of strings of ready-made presets that use multiple nodes to build up certain effects. I'm going to use Cloudy Night Sky here. I'm just going to double click on that just to load it in. It will have a little think, and this is what we've got down here. So we've got the whole of the node structure working down there. Now, this is really great. If I want to start to use this as a jumping off point, or if I'm looking for something, kind of cool and spacey, there's tons of sort of stock images out there you can buy that's cool and spacey. But once you bought something like a stock image, it stays the same. You can't change it up. With having something live in the builder like this, I can come in, I can change up my cloud color. Let's change that something over here, maybe. Let's find us something that's pretty. There we go. I can change how these clouds look. We can shift it all around. I mean, it stays live, and that's what makes it interesting. Let's try and find maybe something around about there. And what else can we do? Oh yeah, I've got a gradient at the bottom. Let's change that color. Let's make it just completely different. I kind of like that. And we can add to this as well. So I've come back into warp. I love the distortion category. You might have noticed it's one that I go back to time and time again. Let's come into warp fisheye. And I'm just going to add a little bit of something here, just to kind of make the lens a little bit different. Now, the cool thing about this, what I think is most important, is that I can then take this preset and use it somewhere else, or take this setup and use it somewhere else. And I can choose if I'm going to take this to Avid or Premiere or After Effects. I can choose which of these type of parameters are going to be immediately available to me in the host. So I'm going to just turn on things like add a tick to a mount, add a tick to Z distance, add a tick to rotate. Let's save as. I'm going to save this as ZZ Ben Cloudy. There we go. And just save that out. I'm going to hit OK on this. So I can save this as a still. Hit save. Let's call this Stars Final. Maybe we'll call this Stars Final 02, because that's not my normal naming convention, obviously. And while that's saving out, what I can do is I'll go into After Effects. The only reason it's taken any time to save out is because my hard drives have gone to sleep. So I've spent too much time yakking. And let's make a new comp here. And I think that's saved out. Stars Final 02. There we go. So in After Effects, I can bring this in as a bit of footage, but it's just going to be a still bit of footage. There's nothing really I can do with it. It's there. It's cool, but it's static. If I bring this in, if I come to Builder, go to S Effect, and then load up a preset here. My Builder effect, I'm going to come all the way down to the bottom because I have ZZ Ben Cloudy. Look at that. And it will come in, and not only will it show me the same image that I had saved in Photoshop. So that's the same image, turn it on and off, it's the same. It also has those things that I can control and change over here. So if I keyframe up the amount, I'll keyframe up something to do with the stars as well. I'll come 5 seconds in. Let's change this up a little bit. Just make that a little bit bigger. Do I want to zoom in, zoom out? Let's zoom in a little bit. A lot. There we go. And we'll do a little bit of rotation. Maybe change the stars up just a tiny amount. And we'll just sort of do a quick RAM preview. You can see I can take that image that I've created, that style frame that I created in Photoshop, and I can then build on it inside of After Effects. And I don't have to go in and do anything like finding suitable effects or, similar effects that I've built in. I can just come in and use it as if it was built in After Effects. So this is obviously going to be really useful if you're working as part of a team, or working on your own, but just trying to sort of do deliverables to different areas, and this still stays completely editable. If I need to make any more edits, obviously we go into Edit Effect, and the builder is right there with all of the stuff that we saw in, there we go, all of the stuff that we saw in Photoshop. Now, there's so much more that we could talk about here, but obviously we are going to have to sort of keep pushing forward. But Brian, are there any questions going so far?
Great stuff, Ben. Yes, definitely some questions. Are there any limitations to this? Is there any? Can it work on all image sizes or anything? Is there any limitations to working in Sapphire and Photoshop?
Yeah, it's resolution independent, so you can throw really big images out there. I mean, as far as I know, there's not a limit. Maybe something to do with your graphic card memory, but as far as I know, I think we're
I haven't found the limit yet. I've tried it on some huge ones.
That's it.
Right? I've tried it on some massive images, and worked pretty consistently at an 8K image or something like that. So I don't know. I do know it supports 32-bit, right? So you can do a full 32-bit workflow. That's really cool. Some other questions on here about M1 support. So what's interesting, and I can answer this for you, Ben. So like Sapphire supports M1, as does Mocha Pro currently. Spoiler alert, Continuum 2022 supports M1 as well. We're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. I can't help myself. Can't help myself.
Awful.
But so to work natively on to process natively on M1, obviously we need our hosts to also. So Photoshop supports native M1s as well. So Sapphire 2022 in Photoshop on an M1 is a full native workflow, which is great. Same thing with Premiere and Resolve, and we definitely I would say it's a good bet that After Effects is coming white hot into 2022, going to be supporting native M1 as well. So that's the situation with M1 and Sapphire, but it's also GPU accelerated. It'll use Metal. It'll use CUDA if you have NVIDIA. If you don't have a GPU, it has a full CPU fallback. I know a lot of people, GPU acceleration isn't that huge a deal in the Photoshop world if you're working on a still. So a lot of people use Photoshop on a whole bunch of different machines. Good to know that Sapphire has a full CPU fallback as well, which is an identical render. So you can go ahead and use it pretty much on any machine you want. A lot of love for John's presets. I second that as well from the crowd. John's got some really cool presets in here, and great stuff.
We're definitely going to be talking about that a lot more. One final thing: if you do have a reference monitor, even if you're working in Photoshop, you can use your reference monitor to output onto the reference monitor, so you can check what you're actually doing. Working inside Builder within Photoshop. So that's also important, I think.
So last question I want to address here, I'll bring myself up too, is like, a couple questions earlier, people had asked about optics and kind of where that sits in this whole thing. And so it's good to think about optics as does a whole bunch of stuff. Optics is really aimed at photographers, right? Real like Photoshop professionals. It does a whole bunch of things and includes some Sapphire effects in there, not the full package, because optics itself, say, has a lens flare. Optics itself has a chromatic aberration. So Sapphire kind of works as a plugin inside optics as well. What Sapphire for Photoshop really is full Sapphire. It's everything that Sapphire is. It's an identical install to After Effects or Premiere. That's why you'll see like some bizarre things like transitions in there where some people are, don't quite understand like what's a transition Photoshop, but it's an identical copy of Sapphire inside Photoshop. And like Ben pointed out, it's really aimed at motion graphics and VFX and editorial. It's mostly aimed at those Photoshop artists working in tandem with an editor, working, in tandem with a motion graphic artist, because, thinking about the whole style frame to finished look, like someone in the chat mentioned, exactly that. They were doing a glitch effect in Premiere and really would love to have that in Photoshop. So that's the thinking here, is that like, you can be designing something for motion and not only have the same effects, you can do this great workflow like Ben just showed, where you can save your PSD and load them up and have your starting point parameters all set as well. And same type thing, right? Going back and forth. If you've created a lens flare or a great look, like, if you've created a trippy LSD effect in After Effects and you want to apply that to a still, for a bit of key art or a big poster, you can go ahead and bring that right over and render it out nice and big in Photoshop. So that's the answer to, like, you know, optics. Optics isn't going away. We actually have a great release coming up beginning of the year with some new updates. Oh, see, what am I talking about? Come on,
single time.
It's just that we're all friends here.
It's just
right?
you and me.
You know,
it's just you and me talking.
We're just talking about product plans for 2022. So great job, Ben. Super exciting to see a Sapphire in Photoshop. It's like a dream come true. Dream come true for me.
It's great.
No
it's
more.
Brilliant. It's great. It's really, really fun. It means that the Photoshop people can have fun and play in the same sort of way. But yes, let's get on to the next bit. You're watching Boris FX Live. We are talking about the brand new releases, the Sapphire 2022 and Continuum 2022. We have seen particle illusion, some of the new particle illusion stuff. We've seen some of the new Sapphire for Photoshop stuff. We have a packed show still to come. We have got, let's see, I've got to look at my cheat sheet here, which has just fallen down. We've got speed improvements coming up in just a moment. We have got new UltraZap improvements as well. We're going to be talking about a brand new effect called ColorFuse, and we're going to be looking, as we've talked about, some of the new Sapphire presets. Plus, headlining, we have got some brand new Continuum effects and some excellent updates for the PixelChooser as well. You do not want to miss it. We are in a jam-packed show for you today. Do we have another winner though? We've also got competition. We've got so much stuff going on at the moment. So let's say if you have been. Hang on, I'm just going to cue this up a little bit. Just going to cue it up. I'm just going to say, if you have been enjoying what you've seen so far, we've got a big thumbs up that I would love for you to hit if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Boris FX Live, there's nothing to stop you. There's no law to stop you from going over to YouTube and looking at the stream and giving it a big thumbs up as well. In the same way, there's no law that says you can't go from YouTube. Just open up a new tab, go to borisfxlive.com and join our competition, because we still have lots and lots of prizes to give away. We're going to give one more prize away. What are we giving away today, Mr. Brian, please? What are we giving away
Well, I
now?
think it only makes sense that we give away some Sapphire, right? After just seeing some Sapphire with Photoshop, right?
Just makes sense.
It all makes sense. And like I said, I complained earlier about vMix's transitions, but there's nothing wrong with a nice cube zoom, right?
Oh, see, there you go.
Right?
You had me at the cube zoom. Right.
Congratulations,
Charlie Wilinski, maybe Wilinski. You have won an annual subscription to Sapphire, an $895 value prize. Congratulations, Charlie. We will be in contact with you in the next couple of days to tell you how you can claim your prize.
Multi-host license.
We still got
multi-host
right? license. This is the big boy. This is the big boy.
Works in After Effects, Premiere, Resolve, Nuke, Flame, Vegas. What else? What else do we support? Mystica, Photoshop. Right?
Photoshop. Can we forget Photoshop? We just looked
brand new.
All right, so there's still time to join our competition. We have an annual subscription of Continuum to give away, plus the annual subscription of Boris FX Suite. That is everything we make, including Sapphire, including Continuum, Mocha Pro, Silhouette, and Optics. So that's the big boy. We will be giving that away later on in the stream. But without any more further ado, let's move this further forward. Brian, I'm going to come back to you because you're the speed guy. We're going to be talking talking speed with you.
I'm the speed guy. Don't know what that says about me. Although, hello everyone. My name is Brian Fox. I'm Director of Product Marketing for Boris FX. I'm also your director for today's live stream. So feel free to blame me for all the technical glitches you see and all of the graphics that I'm throwing at you and prodding Ben to please give us a like. It does help us out. Love to see the likes on YouTube if you like what you're seeing today. All right, let's get into it. Today I want to talk to you about some fun stuff with Continuum and Sapphire, which is speed improvements we have made by optimizing both products to work with After Effects multi-frame rendering. So After Effects 2022, which is available right now, it is live. You can upgrade to it for free within your Creative Cloud. It supports multi-frame rendering, which means it's going to use all of your available processors on your CPU at the same time, and it is a huge improvement for After Effects. I think of it in many ways like After Effects 2.0. After Effects is super fast with MFR turned on. You know, most modern production workstations now have 8 processors at a minimum. You know, the big boy machines like the AMD Threadrippers with 64 and 128, right? It's just amazing what's going on with CPU. So After Effects will use, you know, with MFR, it'll take advantage of all of those processors in addition to your GPU, and it really produces some great speed increases. And as a plugin developer, we've been working with Adobe for the past year to rewrite Sapphire and Continuum from the ground up to support MFR with our plugins, because we knew how important it was to take advantage of these speeds. Like, no one wants to use the plugin that's slow and, you know, isn't going to take advantage of some of this new rendering capabilities in After Effects. All right, so let's talk about it. On average, let me at least preface this a little bit with benchmark tests, because this is like a bugaboo with me. Benchmarking tests definitely falls under, as we all know, the category of lies, damn lies, and statistics. But we like to be as transparent as possible. So I'll show you guys some of the results, which are up on our website right now, and we list the spec of our computers. There are so many variables with benchmarks and, you know, speed numbers. It can vary. Like, obviously, your individual, you know, CPU, it can matter how much memory you have in there. It can matter what type of hard drive, the speed of that. It can matter as to which effect you're using. So that's a big one. People always want to know, like, what's one number? And, you know, I'll tell you the one number on average, but that's not across the board. Each individual Continuum effect or Sapphire effect is completely different in how it renders. So some really can take advantage of some of the speed advantages that MFR offers. Others are already so fast, it's like trying to get faster. Like, it's, you know, it's going to be a 10-second render no matter, because that's as optimized as the effect can be. So you're not seeing a huge speed boost in some of the effects. Like Sapphire Blur is blazing fast. It's almost like never going to get any faster. Even on, you know, I have a big 64-core Threadripper, and it's like, it's just not even going to get any faster. It's as fast as possible. But other things that involve things like ray tracing, like Sapphire Edge Rays, you see some big speed improvements. A bunch of Continuum effects see some big speed improvements. So that's kind of my pitch on benchmark testing. Like, the way we do it is we have, you know, basically a big After Effects project. We have one, you know, clip. We keep it the same length for every effect. We throw it on at default settings. We render it out. We stopwatch it with MFR turned on. Then we purge the cache, make sure we're not, you know, having any cached renders, purge everything, and then we turn MFR off and get the second time. So that's really how we go apart our internal benchmark tests. Like I said, all of this stuff is up in a spreadsheet on the website that you guys can look at after. But let's talk about some fun stuff. Let's talk about Sapphire 2022 in After Effects 2022. With MFR rendering, on average is 20% faster, which is really amazing. If you think about it, like, you're getting a 20% speed boost in After Effects with Sapphire 2022. That's, like I said, if you take all, you know, 300, or I don't even know, actually we're 270, I think, Sapphire effects at this point. You time them all out like we did. And when I say we, I'm using the royal we, because definitely my friend and colleague Niall did all this work, and I'm just taking credit for it. He went through every single one and timed these out, and then we averaged them all together, and you come out with a 20% speed increase. If you guys want to know, like, times faster, which is always a different way to look at the same numbers, same type thing. If you did all the renders of all 270s, Sapphire renders at about 1.86 times faster with MFR turned on than MFR turned off. But what about Continuum? So let's look at Continuum as well. Continuum 2022 in After Effects 2022, on average 22% faster. So a little bit faster with Continuum, seeing 22% across the board with all of, oh my Lord, I don't even know how many Continuum effects are. Peter, I'm going to turn your mic on. How many total? 370, I think, or something? Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot.
yeah, Brian, it's definitely up
It's a
the
ton.
upper 300 limit. I mean,
It's a ton.
growing and continually growing. There's no
There's
stopping.
a ton. So same type thing. If you take them, thanks, Peter. Same type thing. If you take them all and average them together, you see about a 22% faster increase. And same type thing. People always want to know too, like, you know, in terms of a times faster as well. Continuum 2022 is about 2.3x faster with MFR turned on and MFR turned off. So another thing I want to talk about, that kind of wraps up my little MFR rant. Like I said, if you guys are using After Effects, 100% upgrade to 2022. If you want to wait a little bit, you know, there's logic in that too. A lot of people like to wait a couple months, don't like to be early adopters, but definitely think about it coming soon, because it is a huge performance boost. Excuse me. But let's talk about particle illusion, because there's been some huge improvements in Continuum and particle illusion specifically. I have a nice little video I'm going to put here with some of Alan's beautiful renders you saw earlier. There's been huge work done on increasing performance within particle illusion, and this is across all hosts. This isn't just After Effects specific. This is particle illusion inside After Effects, inside Avid, inside Resolve, you know, inside Nuke, inside anywhere you find particle illusion. We're seeing up to 5x speed increases, which is pretty cool. And I'll tell you right now, I hedged the bet a little because it's a, you know, if you round up, I would say I'm fairly confident today it's almost a 6x, but I figured like I'll pull it down and go with the 5x. This is, if you look at particle illusion 2022 versus previous versions in any host app across the board. So that's pretty amazing. A 5x speed increase in those renders. Particle illusion is blazing fast. Fun to see those big numbers. And the last thing I want to talk about, which we've mentioned and hinted at a little earlier, is M1. So Continuum now joins the family of Mocha and Sapphire for supporting native M1 processing. So these new beautiful M1 machines, Continuum now works natively on M1 processors. I don't have any speed tests to share with you because the new M1 MacBook Pros just came out. I don't have my greedy hands on one yet. The previous generations, you know, that we're working on Mac Minis, it's really like to compare a Mac Mini that we have an M1. Like, that's not really a good comparison. You really want to take the new MacBook Pros and compare that versus an Intel MacBook Pro, so you can kind of get a little apples to apples. We will do that in the coming months and post those numbers up on our website. But anyone who has used an M1 knows that it is a fast machine. It is overall, things feel snappier on an M1. They're very more interactive. Things like the effects editor in Continuum and the effects browser, the preset browser in Sapphire Builder, these things open up, lightning fast, like instantaneously, and renders are overall faster as well. If you're not familiar with what's going on with M1, there's two ways that software works currently. You can either run through a Rosetta 2, which is an emulation software, which takes your old code that you wrote for Intel and allows that to run on one of the brand new Apple M1 machines. But the best way is to rewrite your software specifically for the new processors. So that's what we're talking about. We've rewritten Continuum and we've rewritten Sapphire and Mocha Pro to work natively on that processors. And that's kind of like the best experience you're going to have is when you're in a full native workflow. Currently, the host apps that support a full native workflow are Photoshop, Resolve, Premiere, and like I mentioned earlier, After Effects is coming in white hot. And pretty much everyone, I would assume, in the next 12 months will be supporting M1 natively. It is the future of Macintosh, professional computers, which we know is like a big part of our industry. So super exciting that Continuum is ahead of the game and pretty much ready to work natively on that brand new M1 machine when you buy one, or when someone that knows me buys one for me for the upcoming holiday season. Ben, maybe Ben. Maybe we'll finally come through.
I mean, I know it's on your wish list.
Yes.
You've got so many things on your wish list.
Last thing I will say, like I mentioned earlier, here are all our speed tests, which are available right now on the Continuum and Sapphire pages. We have everything broken down here. Bit depth, this is another thing. This is another variable to throw into the dim lies, and statistics. So you can see all of our different stuff. This is Continuum, and we have kind of what we're rendering out and the specs of our machines as well. And this is Sapphire. So like I said, we're seeing 46% with edge rays, and then as you go down, all Sapphire effects are listed in here. So everyone should check those out. And that is my spiel on speed increases. A really, really cool story. Like I said, 20% speed boosts in After Effects, particle illusion up to 5x faster, and M1 support as well. So definitely it's an easy marketing tagline to say Sapphire 22 and Continuum 22 are both the fastest versions we've ever made. And it's more of our commitment to just fine-tuning the performance on these beasts and making sure they're as optimized as possible for the future. So yeah.
It's one of those things that is really it's about not just the final renders, it's about that process of not having those disruptions throughout your work. So you've got more time to actually be in the zone and actually kind of just be working and kind of taking the inspiration while it's there, rather than just waiting for renders to happen.
Absolutely. Our friend John has done some amazing, huge After Effects comps, like specifically his Mortal Kombat comp he did. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's a full 3D render of the Mortal Kombat logo. Like, I'm terrified of this comp. I've been terrified, to put it into After Effects and hit render. It's like, definitely like, go watch an episode of Squid Games and come back. Right. So but that's the crazy thing with MFR. It really has changed things. It really is shocking to me. Like, I'm pretty jaded when it comes to speed increases, because we're constantly live and die. Like, we're always trying to get for these like small numbers. It's so fun to see these big numbers, to see these like 20% speed increase and PI, 5x. It really is night and day when you're in PI and you go to render it. Exactly like you're talking about. You are now a seamless kind of creative process. You don't have to worry like, is this going to slow me down? Is this going to render? Is this going to do that? So fun to see.
When you're talking PI, it's probably worth just mentioning that PI isn't M1 compatible yet.
Correct. Yeah,
that's probably a good little point, just for the sticklers in the audience.
Sure.
Which is good. I mean, I like sticklers in the audience. It's fine.
Not yet,
so to speak.
But
not yet. You and your spot, for God's sake, Brian. We got to tone you down a little bit.
It would just make sense, right? Why would we leave PI out of the M1?
I mean, it would make sense. The way you put it like that, it would make sense. Yep. All right, Brian, thank you very much. We have got to move forward. I would like to talk speed more, but
how'd I do on time?
I mean, you weren't bad. You weren't bad. I think John's going to be happy that we're not, completely blown up the schedule, which we normally do, unfortunately. But no, we're doing very well today. So we're going to talk to John now. We're going to keep this going. We're going to keep it rolling. John, hello, in the bottom right hand corner. Oh, here we go. It's probably worth
okay,
saying that
I like to hassle them.
We love it. We love it. We love it.
It's bad.
So let's get on with some
John,
UltraZap, shall we?
Talk to us. Yeah, what are you going to show us?
I'm going to show you probably between UltraGlow and UltraZap. I don't know. It's a toss-up, which is my favorite effect in Sapphire, and possibly this new feature, being able to use Mocha splines with UltraZap, has pushed UltraZap maybe a little bit higher. The fact that UltraGlow is inside UltraZap probably makes UltraZap one of my, if not my favorite effect in Sapphire. And previously, if you wanted to use splines or masks with UltraZap, you had to use After Effects. But now, with Mocha splines being available to all hosts, you can get the benefit of UltraZap across the different hosts. So what I'm going to do is show you some examples, keep it nice and short, show you some examples in some different hosts, and you get a good idea about how easy it is to use. I have to say, I've been using Mocha for a few years, but really on and off, and every time I get back into it, I have to remind myself how to use it. And I was smiling to myself when I was actually making examples for this release, because it was really easy to use. I even had my wife come and have a look at the tutorial I was recording, and I was showing her the stuff I'd recorded. She goes, "That looks really easy to use." So if someone who doesn't use this at all thinks it's easy, let me show you how easy it actually is. So I'm just going to share my screen. And let's just shoot across to Avid. Now, I'm not a big Avid user. It's only been on my system for a few weeks, so I may not use it, in the most, the best possible way. But it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you the key things in UltraZap, and it doesn't require me to be a great Avid user. So I'm just going to do a quick search for UltraZap, just in my effects here. Just drag that across, drop that on. Let's try that again. Oh, there we go, it's already on. All right, so there's the default UltraZap. Now what you'll see over here in the effect editor under mode is a new mode, UltraZap Mocha. So I'm going to select that, and UltraZap's always been able to track control points. And let me just bring it back to UltraZap, because you'll notice, see how the control point options disappear? So we just bring it over to Mocha, and we're not using the control points. We're actually going to track inside Mocha. To do that, I click on Edit Mocha. That's going to launch the Mocha interface, and this is super easy. So what we're going to do here is just a basic track workflow. So what you generally do is you come up and grab an X spline and just click and create a spline, and just right click to close that. Just modify it slightly just to bring it to the outside of that phone. And all I do next is just click track forward. So this will track really quickly. Just give it a chance to do that. So Mocha is a planar tracker. So you can see all I've got to do is drag a big mask around the object that I want to track, or a big spline, and it locks onto that. So what we're doing here is we're tracking, and then when that track's finished, we're going to create a roto spline, and we're going to link that roto spline to this track. So just give that a chance to finish there. And okay, we're done. All right, so now you can see that's hugging that, or tracking that really nice and tightly. So next what I'll do, I'll just rename this. I'll call this track. Now what I'll do is I will create another spline, and this will be the one that actually hugs the inside of the phone. So this is the one that UltraZap's going to use. Just come in here and just quickly do this. I'm going to do it fairly roughly, just for the sake of time. Just bring that around there. You can see I'm being reasonably rough here. So what you do is just drop in some points there, and then you can come in and you can drag the little handle here to round things out and just move them around. And just get your roto spline nice and tight. It's not a hugely important in this particular case, because we're using UltraZap on this spline, and UltraZap is inherently fairly dynamic and wiggly, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but that's pretty good. So all I've got to do now is, I'll just rename this, I'll call this UZ, and with that selected, come down to link to track and link that to the track. And if I just hit play, you can see that's now linked to that track. And if I needed to, I can check it out, and if it starts to slide at all, I can just come in and just adjust it slightly, and you can see down the bottom here it adds a keyframe, so it's automatically keyframe. It really is that easy. Now back in Avid, I don't want to see the track for UltraZap, so I'm just going to turn that off. I'm going to save this and just close it. And now you can see my UltraZap bolts are following that spline. Now I don't want to use the default setting, so I'm going to load a preset just by clicking on Load Preset. We're going to be talking about the new presets just a little bit later in the presentation, but for now what I want to do is just choose one that's more suitable for this shot. Just give them a chance to load up and just roll down here. And I've got one, let's see, where is it? Pink Electric. It's going to grab that, load that up. Now notice when I did that, it actually it didn't follow the spline. That's because the preset saved in UltraZap mode. I'm just going to choose UltraZap Mocha mode. There we go. So then we come down to our composite settings, and we'll just choose, rather than zap only, just choose to add that. Boom, there we go. So now we've got that following along. Look how quick that was. And look how that really brings that shot to life. I mean, it really is that easy. You saw me do it. It isn't any more complicated than that. It still makes me smile. It's such a great, great feature. Okay, so that's an example of just a basic tracking workflow, tracking roto workflow. Let's just go across to Resolve now. And here's another great shot that could really benefit from UltraZap. Love these battle ropes. I've hurt my shoulder a couple of years ago and haven't been able to go to the gym, but one of the things I used to love doing was these battle ropes. Hopefully I can get back into it soon. But let's spice this up a bit with UltraZap. So once again, I'm going to search for the effect, UltraZap, and just grab that, drop it on. There we go. So there's our default bolt. So over in Effects, once again, I'm going to choose UltraZap Mocha, Edit Mocha, and here we are in the Mocha interface. Now, for this I want to use an open spline, but I need to start with the closed spline. So I'm just going to click once again and choose an X spline. Just click and just basically follow that path of the rope. Now right click to close that, but then I'm going to right click again on that point and I'm going to choose Spline, Open Spline. Just grab that there. Excellent. So now if I select all, Control A, and just drag these handles in, see how that rounds that out? That's great. Now I can go in and just adjust that. And it's so interactive with these splines. There's no lag. It's super, super easy and smooth to use. Just drag it into place like that. And then I could just move forward a little bit. And, you know, I could select all of the points and just move them all as one, like that. But in this case, it's probably better just to grab the individual points and just move them down. And look down the bottom how at my time indicator how it's created a new keyframe. So the keyframing is all automatic. I can just tighten up the tension on these points here and just move that in. So if you can use a mouse, then you can do this. And if I just move between those 2 points, notice how it's following that. Now I'm not going to go through and do the whole thing. What I can do, and this is one of the great features, is that I can actually import Mocha projects that have been created either in Mocha Sapphire or Mocha Pro or Mocha AE. So I've done this before in Mocha Sapphire, and I saved that out. So I'm just going to go File, Open Project, and I'm going to load it in. So this is ropes.mocha, and I don't want to save what I had. And there we go. So that's completely following that now. Just press Control A. You can see all the keyframes in there. Okay, it did take me probably an hour to get that right, to get that working, but obviously for an effect like this, it's going to be really worth it when you see the final result. So I'm just going to save that, close that, and okay, we've got our default on there, but let's go into Load a Preset. Why build something up from scratch when you can start with a preset? I think presets are a really great starting point. I've spent a lot of time, and I know Ben has as well, on creating these. And I'm only creating things that I think are useful, not just things because, you know, why would you create any preset that you didn't think was going to be useful? And I've created one down here which I thought would be great, Whiplash, obviously a reference to Iron Man 2, so perfect for battle ropes. So I'm going to click Load for that. And it's disappeared, but that's okay. So there's a couple of things we have to do. One is we have to choose UltraZap Mocha, and we also have to come down once again to Composite, and we need to choose Add or Screen. There we go. So probably Screen for this one. And then of course I can come across to my settings, and I can adjust that. I can increase the amount of bolts or decrease them. There's a lot of settings in UltraZap, but starting with a preset is, it's a really good starting point. And obviously I can save that out as a preset as well. But now you can see her workout has really been electrically charged. So open splines, fantastic. Let's go across to Premiere Pro, and we talked a little bit before about being able to import Mocha Pro projects. Obviously Mocha Pro is industry standard for planar tracking and rotoscoping, and you can get some quite complex projects. And one of them was this roto that one of the team did for this Stingray. I think it was Mary that did it, or either Mary or Ross, and they're much better at doing rotoscoping than I am. But that's good. They were able to supply me with the project, and I could just bring that in and not only use it as mats to create a composite in After Effects, but I could also bring it into something like Premiere Pro and just use it for UltraZap. So I've already got UltraZap applied, so if I just come in and click on Edit Mocha, just open up the Mocha interface, and now you can see here I didn't choose UltraZap Mocha, so you can see how it's showing me these trackers in here. That's fine. If I'd have chosen UltraZap Mocha, these would have been hidden, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to come in and choose File, Open Project, and I'm going to choose this one here, Stingray. So this is a professionally tracked and rotoed project, and I'm going to just turn off the splines that I don't want to use. So let's just come and select all these. I'm going to turn these off, and I want to just turn these off as well. So turn all those off. I think that'll turn them all off. So I'm only going to use the headlights for now. And I'm going to click Save and close that. And you'll see them, it wrap around the headlights. But I've got to choose UltraZap Mocha. And there we go. So now we're just using the UltraZap on the headlights. Now I have gone and done a pre-render for this. This is the one I did effect. So I've used the Mocha splines to cut the car out. And I've already gone and pre-rendered this. So you can see how we can use Mocha with UltraZap, and we can take advantage of all of the Mocha Pro and Mocha AE work that may have been done, which is fantastic. Now there's more to it, and there's great tools like the magnetic spline tool in Mocha, but I think that gives you a great idea of how easy this is and how you can really enhance your shots because you can use Mocha with UltraZap. So I'm going to just come back to myself and open up to any questions.
Thank you very much, John. Yeah, I've got that was great. Looked very, very pretty. I know it's a kind of quick overview of what it can do, but it's there's a ton of different styles that you can get done with that.
Yeah, and it's so easy to do.
I mean,
and you can see how with that phone shot, how that instantly enhanced that shot. And interestingly, with that phone shot, it's a piece of stock footage, and I actually put the Sapphire logo in there using Mocha Pro to track that and to actually insert that. And then I used, as you saw, I used Avid to add the Mocha UltraZap around it. So great tools. Having Mocha in Continuum and Sapphire is just killer, absolutely killer. And remember, before I worked for Boris FX for the past 2 years, I've been a motion graphics artist for 20 years. So I like to think that my opinion comes as a motion graphics artist first.
I think so. I think that's where we really try to think about this stuff from an artist point of view. Because we both come from that sort of background. And actually, there's one of the questions that I've got was from someone in the chat who said it looks cool, but it looks very specific. And I think that's kind of like what we've seen in the last 15 minutes may be quite specific if you're just wanting to do electric stuff, but UltraZap can do a lot more than just electric bolts, can't it?
Sure.
Have you got anything you can show us on that?
Some of the presets that I've created for this new version are more neon looks, and I may have something I can quickly just pull up here. Just give me a moment. Take the floor, Ben.
Ryan, do you have the UltraZap video? Because we've actually got a short sort of introduction to the new UltraZap as well, and there's a lot of different looks going on in there, so we can.
Yeah, give me 1 second. See who's faster.
See who's faster. Yeah, John O'Brien.
I can bring up the Premiere project.
I
there
you go.
I got it.
Oh.
Have you got it?
Racing,
Brian?
racing.
The only thing is I'm going to be playing it off. Here we go. I'm going to play it. Let's see. Can I beat him?
You can.
Right.
I'm letting you beat him because I'm not doing it. Hands off.
It's bad.
Literally going to play off YouTube here. This is John's really cool new kind of breakdown of.
Yeah, so that's a good example. So
UltraZap.
there's UltraZap doing neon. Sorry, Brian, I'll just take over.
Yeah, sure.
So you might want to just scrub forward there a little bit, Brian. There's an example where I've taken the still image, probably a little bit further down, just after the Avid section. Just after there you go. So that open sign was actually just a still image, and I just use UltraZap to bring that to life just by using the magnetic spline tool. Same with that still image. So you don't have to use it for electrical looks necessarily, but it's great for anything where you want to put an enhancer shot. But there's also a shot in there for After Effects towards the end where we've not only used the Mocha splines to cut the hand out, but we've also used UltraZap as the energy source that's inside the talent's hand. You can see that squirrely line there. So, of course, UltraZap is all about lightning and electricity. So, in that case, it has a specific use, but it allows for a lot of creativity and to bring shots to life.
I love that.
Yeah, I've used it for a ton of
cool.
stroke
Brian.
effects and that's great, Brian. Yeah, like stroke effects is where I also think it shines really, really well.
And great on text too. Ben.
That's
just
cool.
following text.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because that's another thing that you can do if you're working in After Effects. You can have it following After Effects masks or text, and if you're in any host with Sapphire 2022, have it following the Mocha masks, which is that's such a huge thing. Such a huge thing.
I think so too, and it is that easy just to be able to just add that really nice enhancement to a shot.
Yep, agreed. And like the how you showed it as well, that you can have other people creating the Mocha masks for you if you're not like a. Well, I was gonna, if you're not the most experienced in Mocha, and you have Mary Poplin, just to your side, what are you going to do? You're not going to say no to Mary, are you? Come on.
No,
absolutely.
You gotta choose that roto artist.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Exactly.
Ross, thank you to Ross and Mary for helping out on a lot of those examples.
Yeah.
Very cool stuff.
Definitely.
Some great ones in there.
But having said that, Ben, the basic workflow, like I showed on that phone, is that easy. And when you think about it, those more complex shots like the car is only just an extension of that. It's just adding more splines and tracking them. Mocha is extremely user friendly.
And one of the interesting things to me about Mocha is that you can. It's really WARA, isn't it? It's write once, read anywhere. So with regard to the Boris FX product line, you could use Mocha Pro, do any roto you need to, export those splines, and then you can import them into UltraZap or into any Continuum filter, for example.
Yeah,
just
definitely worth watching Ben's training on that. That free training that Ben and Mary produced. I think it's worth getting a little bit of a handle on Mocha. Yeah.
One thing I love to point out too is that obviously we released UltraZap in Sapphire 2021, right? And what was it, 2020? I can't even remember.
2020 or 21.5, I think, was it not?
2021.3. But anyway, so we released UltraZap, and you could do some really cool stuff with AE paths, right? But Ben, you and I know, like, we're monitoring, like, you know, a lot of comments on YouTube, and like, I honestly felt bad because there was so many people that were like, what about OFX? You know, like, what about Resolve? What about Nuke? What about these things? So that's what I love about this new feature, is it is agnostic now. It really doesn't matter. It's not an After Effects only feature, right? So it's in everything, and it's also like, it's a commitment to some of these effects we have, that they're, you know, we're always trying to improve them. Like, you know, got tons of great feedback on UltraZap. We listened to it. We heard people being like, you know, what about OFX? What about OFX? What about OFX? And that was internally when it was like, well, this makes total sense. Like, let's add Mocha to this. Not only are we going to get the cool things like the magnetic tool, the area brush, and the open splines, but we're also going to open it up to all those other host apps and make it not an AE specific filter. So super excited, John. I know you're a novice in Avid, but it is fun to watch and show how easy it is in Avid just to do that.
I think that's really important that I am a novice, because it is that easy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So really cool that we're bringing these cool advanced tools to all these apps.
Yeah.
I think it's worth underlining as well, because this did come up in the chat. It's like the version of Mocha that you were using is built directly into the Sapphire effect. You don't have to have the standalone version of Mocha, or, you know, an external version of Mocha to feed this stuff in. It's actually part of UltraZap, as it is part of, you know, I think every Sapphire effect, and pretty much every Sapphire effect, and pretty much every Continuum effect as well.
Yep.
You know, that's one of the big things.
Yep.
And I brought those splines across from Mocha Pro, but you can also create those splines in Mocha Sapphire and bring them back into Mocha Pro. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, that's really cool, right? Really cool.
Yep.
Right,
We got to move on, John. That was
John.
great. I know we are kind of going quite light on some of these, and we do have a lot more features that we could be talking about, but we've got so much stuff to get through that we actually do have to keep the pace going. We've got to keep it going. Otherwise, we're going to end up doing another 6-hour stream, and I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to be in trouble if we do that.
Okay.
All right. I think we're coming to me again. I think I've got the honor of doing a brand new Sapphire effect. So let's have a little look. We are going to be taking a look at a new effect called ColorFuse. Mr. Brian, would you mind playing back my little video, please? Because this is probably going to be a good idea for me to just talk over ColorFuse and tell people what it is. Because basically, it is a brand new, one of a kind, let's say, color effect, which allows you to mix in up to 3 different LUTs and combine those together into one custom look. And that look that we take there is going to be cross-host compatible, cross-platform compatible, so we don't have to have access to the original LUTs when we take those over. And I think as we start to see the workflow, you're going to start to begin to understand how this opens up like an unimaginable amount of different looks really, really quickly, just with one simple effect. All right, so let's take a little look at this. We're going to start in Avid, and I'm going to be moving across into Premiere and After Effects as well. So I'm just going to, because it's been a little while again, my hard drive has gone back to sleep. It will wake up in a second. I can actually hear it rumbling. I'll just pour some coffee on it because I'm sure that'll wake it up quite nicely. So what we've got in Avid here is I've got my little cut timeline. Let's play that back. I do need to let this wake up a little bit more, I think. There we go. Let's just scrub that through. So I've got my cut timeline, and I've got ColorFuse applied as a filler layer over the top of these different areas, so we can be applying one effect to multiple clips. But let's open up the before one here, or alternatively, I can just crash Avid and do what I was going to do all along and come straight into Premiere. Sorry, everyone. I did want to show us in Avid, but the workflow is going to be exactly the same, no matter whether you're working in Avid, Premiere, or After Effects, or any of the other Sapphire hosts. Let's take this video here. Here we go. Yeah, that's as good as any. And I'm going to apply ColorFuse. And if we take a look at the interface itself is actually really, really straightforward. We do have Mocha, which we were talking about just a moment ago, but actually the main interesting parts are going to be this area down here. So we've got 3 areas where we can choose our different LUTs, and we've got 3 sliders where we can control the strength of them. And that is the main kind of thrust of this effect. So if I come in, we can just sort of slide our slider up and down, choose a strength, and sort of dial that in. If I don't like that sort of look, I'm just going to click on choose LUT, and it's going to open up my list of LUTs here. So ColorFuse comes with 30 pre-installed LUTs as part of the Boris FX starter LUT pack. And these have been organized into different areas. So we have CF for ColorFuse, BW for black and white. We have CF, C for color. So that's color film emulation. And we have CFS for stylized. So the ones that are based off of real film have, the real film. Let's choose something that wasn't the one we already had put on by default. Yeah, so these are based off of actual film stocks, and we can just adjust these up and down a little bit. So if I bring this up maybe just a wee bit, bring that to about 0.3, and I can come into my second one, choose that there. Let's take one of the black and white ones. Let's take the top black and white one, and that will then obviously send everything black and white. Let's do a subtle desaturation on this. So we'll just do a quick before and after on that. If at any point I decide that that's not quite the right look that I'm going for, I can just click on a button, comes back up, and I can I'll come in here and I'll go in and completely change up the look that I'm going for. So instead of that sort of cool blue look, I can sort of go for a slightly heavier green, come in, do a third version, and then what should we do? Let's punch this up a little bit. Orange and teal punchy. Maybe a little bit too punchy, Ben. Let's bring that down. There we go. And really is amazingly straightforward. We can sort of just come in, bring that in, and then let's just play that back. And it plays back nice and fast. If I didn't have loads of streaming going on and I thought about it and not chosen 4K footage, this might be playing back even faster, but I think we're doing all right here. So we got a nice little look going on that. Let's come over to somewhere else. Let's choose something random. Let's take this one here, because we can apply this as a filler layer over the top in Avid, or we can also apply this as adjustment layers. So where I see this going in most people's workflows is it's going to be sort of like the last little element where we're trying to push the look. So the main color correction's already been done. So we've got everything nicely balanced up, and we just want to push the look a little bit into a certain area to give it that unique feel. And this is something I've been doing for many years with different different types of things. But obviously LUTs have become huge over the last few years. You can't sort of turn on a YouTube influencer video without them trying to sell you their LUT pack. So instead of, you know, fighting up the hill, what we've done with ColorFuse is actually come in and said, I think we can take these and make them even more useful. Because what I would often be doing is I would be coming in and I would be looking at, you know, some of these LUTs that I'd created myself, some of these looks I'd created myself, and I'd be adding them and I'd be blending them together, and I'd end up with like a huge list of different, you know, different effects in my effect palette, and basically it was just getting sort of unwieldy, really, just because you'd end up with this thing that was, you know, really quite huge. And what I did there was, let's load up the presets one more time. I sort of skipped over something a little bit there. Yeah, so what we've got here instead is we've got the ability to kind of come in and sort of work with multiple looks simultaneously and kind of combine and mix your own unique ones. Now, when it comes to presets, we've got a lot of presets that are shipping with this as well. So we've actually got 50 presets coming in. These follow the same basic naming conventions as the LUTs themselves. So BW, black and white, C for color, S for stylized, but we've also got these M ones here. And what the M stands for is mixed. So these are ones that have been mixed together. And most of these are actually kind of, you know, they're named in a way that you sort of understand what they're going for. Some of them are a little bit, you know, cleverly named. But some of them, you know, most of them are actually pretty, you know, pretty well named. Like, you know, in the morning, you've got a sort of early low contrast look. Cool, defoliate. If we take a look, actually, I'll load that one in. You can see what that's doing. This is coming in and just taking out some of the brighter greens from the trees. So you can see that's just taking that out and turning this a little bit into a more autumn sort of you know, look. And even though these are coming in as presets, we can just come in and just mix these up so that they fit in our footage, or fit in with our footage in as good a way as possible. Now, in the same way that we can load the presets in, we can also save our presets out. So if that's using the main sort of default LUTs, that's fine. If, on the other hand, you have your own custom ones, let's come over here. Let's add ColorFuse over here. If you've got your own custom LUTs, there's no reason why you can't use those in ColorFuse as well. I'm going to go choose LUT. And I'm going to come into my external LUTs folder. You know, as I said, I've been working with LUTs for a very, very long time. So I have been creating up quite a lot of these myself. So if I just come in, I will go to Film Wash Volume 6 and we'll take I'm not sure which one we'll go. We'll go with a random strong vintage yellow, for example. And I can just sort of bring that in there. And that's actually looking kind of nice there. And I can mix up another one. Let's go back to my custom LUTs folder with the big folder of LUTs. Or let's go Amelie 02, something like that. So these are my own personal ones. You will not see these ones in the effect, but that's looking kind of all right.
You holding out on me?
Hang on.
Holding out?
Yeah, I am, Brian. These are the ones that they supported my studio for many, many years. I'm not giving away the farm. What look like?
Unbelievable.
You may find some of these pop up at some point. I don't know. Maybe. It depends who asks nicely.
You can just save
But
them as a
the
preset
point
and
is,
send it to me, so I don't even have to need them anymore.
yeah, the point I was going to say, the point is now I've got these loaded in here as as my custom LUTs. So what I can do is once Premiere's decided it's going to finish saving my project, I'm going to save this out as a preset. There we go. Thank you, Premiere. And I'll save this out and I'll call this one Ben's Fancy Look. Eyes only. Means you're not ever going to get this. And I can export this out as a file and send it out to people, or just save it on my system itself. And the cool thing about this, I save this preset, I can open it up in any other Sapphire host as well that's running ColorFuse. So I can save this in Premiere, open it in Avid, open it in Nuke, open it in Resolve, do whatever I need to do with it. And that's going to be with me wherever I go. One other little thing, because I know I've got so much stuff that I want to show, but time is not our friend today. I'm going to come in here. Yeah, let's see. I'm in After Effects now, and apply ColorFuse here. Stylize, Ben, ColorFuse. There we go. And I'm just going to turn the default look up, just so we can take a look at this and we can see what this looks like. So I said that we can mix 3 together, but ColorFuse has something a little bit special up its sleeve as well. Something that I find amazingly useful, and that is host color space and LUT color space. Now, the LUTs that we've been working with so far have been designed for working with sRGB footage. Not all LUTs you have, either ones that you've bought or ones that you make yourself, are necessarily going to be designed for sRGB. So the usual solution for that has been to do a complicated color transform, where you transform it from the host from one color space to another color space to get the LUT looking right. Actually, let's do that while I'm here. I'm going to come into my project settings. All I'm going to do, I'm just going to linearize my working space in After Effects. So working in a linear color space. And as soon as I do that, this color transformation looks awful. This is not what we're going for. This, surprisingly enough, the dirty, muddy image isn't the look we're going for here. So instead of setting up, different color transforms to take me from linear to sRGB, then do my effect, then go from sRGB back to linear again, making sure that everything, slows down to a snail's pace. All I'm going to do is come to my host color space here. I'm just going to say, ColorFuse, do you know what? We're actually working in a linear host color space. Is that all right with you? And it will go, yes, Ben, of course it is. And it will show me the correct image. And that's really as simple as it is. Like having a host color space here and a LUT color space down here saves any sort of unnecessary, or actually completely necessary color transforms going as separate effects. You can do them all within the ColorFuse effect as we've got it right here. And there's a ton of stuff that we can do with this. If you start playing through that video again for me, please, Brian, it might sound a little bit kind of a little bit sort of strange, but just having those 3 separate inputs for your color looks opens up just an absolutely almost infinite range of effects that you can apply to just using the tools you already have. So if you've got LUTs already, you're going to use them. You're going to start to find different ways of using them in a very, very easy way, rather than coming in and having to hunt through huge complicated effects to just do the little blending that you want to do. And I think it's this just makes it so much easier to add the sort of finishing touches, no matter what host application you're working in. I think that's where ColorFuse has been amazingly fun for me. I'm going to say one more thing, one tiny last thing, and then we'll do some questions. If we come back to my screen, I'm going to add in Builder onto this. I'm going to edit my effect here. Now, if I go into Builder and take a little look for ColorFuse, I'm not going to find it. Actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do first. Before I do any of that, I'm going to delinearize my working space instead of working there. There we go. So yeah, come back into Builder. I'll type ColorFuse to see what we've got. I don't have ColorFuse, but I do have ColorFuse Looks. So what is ColorFuse Looks? Well, ColorFuse Looks is almost like the little brother of ColorFuse. I can use any of the included LUTs, any of the 30 LUTs that I would be doing normally, and just come down here. Let's just sort of add a little black and white one in there, just to desaturate just a little bit. Come in here. Let's go to Dry County. Oh yes, you're in Dry County now. And just sort of bring that back, so we can still be mixing all of our things together, but you just can't come in and use your own LUTs. You can only use the ones that are provided with the with ColorFuse Looks. But that's still 30 LUTs. What this means, having ColorFuse Looks in here, is that we can come in and we can create more complex looks still, whether we're working in Builder or Sapphire for Photoshop. If you saw the little presentation earlier, we can still have ColorFuse in these, but we'll just be using ColorFuse Looks instead. And that's the only difference. So we do have the ability to still use ColorFuse within Builder and within Photoshop, but we're using the little brother. We're using ColorFuse Looks. But you can still get some very cool effects because we have provided a lot of very good starting points for you. In my opinion. And if anyone wants to disagree with me, they're within their rights. They're wrong, but they're within their rights.
I wouldn't have disagreed with you until I found out you've been holding out secret LUTs on me for all these years, right?
No.
I think that's a great. I think it's a great explanation, Ben. Like you have ColorFuse, which is like if you want to deep dive, you want to load your own LUTs, right? You want to get into color space and all that, and like a full pro LUT tool. And then you have ColorFuse Looks for just fast and dirty grades, right? Like you want to jump into Photoshop and you want to do a nice, quick and easy. You're not too concerned about using your own custom LUTs or anything like that. You can just jump in and use that. And that was our way to get that kind of easier version into Builder, and then ColorFuse Looks kind of blows it out. But definitely have some questions for you. A lot of love from the chat. A lot of people super excited about ColorFuse. Some great examples.
Good.
Do you wanna hit some questions? All right, let's
I'd love to hit questions.
Let's start with a nice softball. Does Mocha masking work with ColorFuse?
Why, yes, it does. Thank you for asking. Mocha, we got Mocha built directly into ColorFuse. So just like it is in, let's pop that in there. Yeah, just like it is in most of the Sapphire effects, we've got an edit Mocha here, so we can just come in, beautiful, save that out, and now we wait for After Effects to autosave. Autosave has been the bane of all of these presentations. But yeah, we wait for that to do its thing, and then we're going to just have Mocha apply. There's my show Mocha on here. There we go. There we go.
Yep. So you can track that, and you can define that tracked mask. Really cool.
Let's make that a bit
There you go.
There we go. Really easy to see that there.
How about another one? What format is the does ColorFuse accept for your custom LUTs?
.cube LUTs. So the ones we have got, and the ones that I generally work with, they are, oh god, now I'm going to forget the actual number. I think it's 60. Is it 64 point LUTs or 63 point LUTs? Something like, yeah. But it's basically it's yeah, .cube LUTs you can take out. They'll generally work for you. What for? Yeah, all of these are dot cubes.
One more question. Somebody asked about so GPU acceleration is ColorFuse. Does ColorFuse take advantage of the GPU? That's a big yes, right? We added in OCIO version 2 with Sapphire 2022. That's like a lot of like some of the like hidden features we're not talking about today, but some of the improvements we've added. So we have an effect called OCIO transform, which is just a Sapphire quick and easy way to, you know, transform different color spaces. That is like OCIO transform and ColorFuse is based upon OpenColorIO underneath the hood, right? So we upgraded that to version 2, which takes full advantage of the GPU. Mm-hmm. So you're going to see GPU acceleration with CUDA, right? If you have an NVIDIA card, or if you're on a Mac, you'll see Metal support as well. So really cool. Love all those. I love how you glossed over
a lot of the.
You 50 LUTs you've added in there, 50 custom LUTs, like some jokes that Ben will be selling LUTs in the future. It's funny.
Ben was selling LUTs for many years.
Yes, Ben is very familiar with the LUT game, right? But in all honesty, it's really cool, man. You know, like we've included 50 custom LUTs with ColorFuse to kind of get you started. So that's like a, you know, probably like a $99 value at least, right? You know, if you were to buy that, you know, on Instagram or something like that. So some really pro LUTs included with ColorFuse, and you can always load your own too. You can load in any of your own.
I want to say something actually while you're doing this. Just one of the things that one of the things that annoys me a lot of the time about a lot of these LUT packs that you get. Either for free or you kind of buy for some monies, is the fact that they're designed by people who have designed them for a single shot.
Sure.
These ones haven't been designed for a single shot. These have been designed for a mixture of shots. So they're doing stuff like making sure that they protect things like skin color. They protect memory colors like grass and sky. They're there to actually help to enhance. They're ones that are being used commercially and are for video professionals. They're not just kind of random random stuff that looks good on one shot. It's actually been thought about, designed, carefully curated.
Absolutely.
So you know that's one of the things that, you know, is definitely a standout feature for me anyway.
You're hitting on a theme that John brought up earlier, which I think was a great point. When he was looking at his Whiplash preset, is like we're making these things because, to be honest with you, like we want to use them, right? We want them to be a real professional use. These are all of Ben's LUTs exactly like that. Anyone who has purchased a LUT pack, exactly what you said, Ben, is like, it looks great in the video, and then I apply it on my friend's, you know, Nick's wedding video, which I've been working on for 3 years. And it's you know, and it's like, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like that at all. So I think you've done a great job. Like I said, creating stuff that you would want to use yourself, and included them as free with ColorFuse. ColorFuse is an amazingly powerful effect. It really is. Like just to be able to share the LUT with someone else and not have to keep track of that. It's embedded in the Sapphire preset. That is to me such a killer feature when you're thinking about online to offline, you know, basically also taking care of the color space and almost like a bread trail crumb as to what color space, you know, online or offline was in when they created this look as well. And to be able to share that is really cool. So really love that. But yeah, great presentation, Ben. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I love ColorFuse, and I look forward to talking about it a lot more over the coming few months. So
Absolutely.
there we go.
Absolutely. All right.
Shall we move on? We've got to move on. We've got to keep it
Yes.
going. Keep the train rolling. I'm sort of lost a little bit where we are. I think we've got a prize to give away. I want to give Continuum away.
Haven't we not given Continuum? Oh, okay, sure. Yes, you are correct. You are correct.
Well, yeah, I want Continuum. We've got
listen
lots
to
of
me.
people here.
All right, you ready?
We're loving this.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, come on then. I've got my reading glasses on. Sooner Littletop has won the annual subscription of Continuum, a $695 value. Congratulations, Sooner. That's well done. Well done.
Nice
Yay.
work.
We do need to get our applause machine.
You mean my sound effects? Yes, we do. We do.
Yeah, exactly.
Great work. Congratulations. That is a multi-host annual subscription. Continuum, so works in every single host. We offer, Avid, Premiere, After Effects, Resolve, Vegas, the full kit and caboodle. Continuum. Congratulations. All right.
Congratulations.
One more prize
I just want to
left.
say it's
One
not.
more prize left.
It's not too late. It's not too late.
Not too late.
You can go to borisfxlive.com, scroll down to the bottom of the screen, and you will find the competition entry form, where you too can join us to win a copy of, or an annual subscription, I should say, of the Boris FX Suite. So that's everything we make, including Sapphire that we just seen, Continuum that we have also seen earlier on today, and we will see a bit later on as well, and Mocha Pro, Silhouette, and Optics. That's everything. There's one prize left. There's still time. Go to Boris FX Live, scroll down to the bottom, enter your details there. Full terms and conditions on the website. If you have liked what you've seen so far and you are eager for more, then it would be very appreciated if you popped over to YouTube, if you're not on YouTube, or if you're on YouTube, just hit the little thumbs up button. Only once. Make sure it turns blue. If you hit it twice, that doesn't count. We don't like that. Once, make it turn blue. We really appreciate it. It does actually help out a lot. I know we make fun of it, but we don't know why. We don't know why it helps out, but it absolutely does. So thank you to everyone who has been giving us the thumbs up so far.
We see. I mean, the kids say it helps, so we follow what we see, right?
We do. These big crates fall from the sky, and we know that must be right. So we must pray to the gods of the cargo.
What we got next?
We have got. Actually, we're going back to John. I think
yes, we are.
We're going back to John. We're looking at some Sapphire presets.
Yes, sir.
John, hello, welcome.
I'm going to make John earn his money this morning.
I'm still alive.
I know. 2 presentations.
Let's get on with it. Let's take a look at some presets.
Let's do it.
I'm just going to flip across to my screen sharing. All right, so presets in Sapphire, very close to my heart. I think I counted 698 presets of mine in Sapphire now. And Ben and I have worked very hard to add another 350 to this new version. It's been really exciting working in it. I always enjoy it because Sapphire is, obviously it's a very deep set of plugins, and when I create presets I get a chance to get into the builder and explore, and then just, really just sit here, put the music on and be really creative. And I think we've come up with some really nice looks. Now the best way to explore the presets in Sapphire is, of course, using Sapphire effects. So I'm just going to just search for that.
John, while you're searching, I just got to say, did you said 350? 350 new presets.
Yeah.
Oh my lord, 350. It's fantastic. I'd like to point that out.
Ben just showed us this
350. It's badass.
Yeah, Ben just showed us there's 50 new ColorFuse presets, which is terrific. So add that. That's added to that 350, or that included in the 350. Okay, so S-Effect is the best way to, well, really the only way to preview and browse all of the presets. Obviously, you can browse presets for individual effects, but this is the way I like to work. So I'm just going to click on Load Preset. And let's take a look. Now, the best way to find out what's new in any version of Sapphire is just to click on New. So this is going to show you all of the brand new presets. Now there's going to be a bunch in here that, like this one, texture cells, which are for backgrounds, but there's also a lot of things that can be used to modify this this shot. So the best way to work is just to cruise through these. If you're not sure what what you're looking for, and just apply them and see how they might look on your shot. You can always do a comparison side by side or a split, which is really nice. And just come through and just browse through and just see what's available first. I definitely think you would be worth spending 5 minutes just to see what's new. I've actually included a lot of different sort of gradient presets. Let me just turn off this and just come in and search gradient. And let's go. Actually, we'll go to groups. Type in gradient. It's going to show us all of the different S gradient, radial, and gradient multi effects. What we can also do is we can add a filter, and I'm going to just come in here and type in V 2022, and that's actually applied it because I hit enter. Of course, it's going to load that again. So used to hitting enter after doing anything. Let's try that again. So I'm going to type in gradient and add filter and V 2022. I don't have to hit enter. So there's all of the new different gradient filters or gradient presets that I've created for this version, because I felt that there wasn't enough presets for the gradients, and you'd have to go in and create your own, which just takes time. So I spent a bit of time doing things which I thought were useful. There's also a bit of color theory that's gone on with these as well, so just handy to have those in there. Also created a lot of new builder effects. There's 24 new builder effects. We just type in V 2022 in here. 2044. We just skip forward 22 years. 2022. So I had a lot of fun with using S Effect in this particular version. Every time I get into Sapphire, when I'm going into preset mode, I can start to use effects, things like UltraZap and UltraGlow, things I haven't done a lot of presets for, and include them in my preset creation. What I've really tried to do here, apart from a few interesting backgrounds, which are combinations of different effects, I wanted to come up with looks that you could literally just drop on a shot and just change the shot completely, to give it a really nice look, rather than just a color effect or a warp effect. It's a combination of different effects using S-Builder to change the way, to change how a shot looks. And I've done used a lot of different warping and with various effects so that we can affect the shot using the distort effect. I really like how that looks. And just playing around in S Effect until I come up with shots with looks that I thought were going to be quite useful. So there really are, drag and drop, and gives you a chance to really change the look of your shot without having to do very much. Things like this. So these are S Effect effects. If I just choose, for example, let's see, glass panels like this, and just click load. So as Ben showed before, with Sapphire Effect, you can control inside the builder which parameters you want to be visible in the host, and that's what I've done with all of these. I've only revealed the parameters that are going to be the most useful. You can always go back into the builder and turn different parameters on and off. So I could just come in here quickly and just change the amount of strips, just drop that back, bring that back, and just there's random seeds in here, so I could just change the random seed until I get something that actually suits my shot. So you're really getting full value of a lot of the different Sapphire effects by combining them using S Effect. And once again, I said I can come back in and I can edit the effect. You have a look in here. And once that loads up, we can make adjustments inside the builder as well. So you can see I've actually left a little note in here as well, a little sticky note. Just different things you'll find different suggestions for how you might want to use this. Let me just zoom in here. I actually was playing around with a whole lot of other different effects sandwiched in here, and you can see I've used rack defocus to adjust the background. If I just click on that and adjust the defocus width, you can see how that's that's inside the actual glass strips. So that's using rack defocus. But I was experimenting with other different effects because obviously the Sapphire effect and the builder opens it up to experimentation. So I threw a bunch of other ones in there, but I didn't want to turn them all on, so I just left a little note. So maybe try those. So if I right click and just disable rack defocus and choose something like Collider Polar, just enable that. Now we're going to get Collider Polar only being visible inside those strips. And you could try lots of different effects in here. S-Effect really opens up Sapphire to your creativity. So definitely go in and try those different S-Effects. Try the settings in After Effects or in your host, and then come into the actual builder and play around and take a look at how it was created. And as Ben mentioned, you can preview selected nodes, and you can come in and you can see how these were built just by clicking on the different effects and see how they were combined. And there's Distort at the end to give that glass plates. So heaps of fun to create. Just going to click OK. So, like I said, 350 new effects, and we have deprecated over 200 effects. There's a bunch of stuff in there which I felt, and I know that some of the other team members, Brian, Ben, felt that probably weren't as useful. So we've hidden those, and we've gone through and really spent time building things which we think we would want to use, and hopefully you would want to use too. So with that, I'll switch back across to the to Brian or Ben, and let's move on.
Excellent. Thanks, John.
Yeah, 350 new presets. John, if you can go back to the camera on, please.
Yep.
So great point you brought up that, we went through a full curation process of the more than 3,000 Sapphire presets. Something that's been a long time coming, Sapphire has a long history, right? So some of those presets were created quite long ago. And so we went through and we looked at each individual one. Some we thought, were just clutter and kind of noise in there. So we deprecated those. And good to point out that we don't actually ever delete anything. We just hide them. And in the preset browser, if anyone wants to actually, reach out to our support, we can show you how to turn those back on. But the whole thinking of that is if you do have a older Sapphire preset that we deprecated in an old project and you bring that back online, it's still going to go online. Nothing's been deleted. It's just more of a hiding process that we've gone through. But amazing stuff with the SFX presets, John. Really, really cool stuff in there. When you guys see our marketing launch for Sapphire 22, we're featuring a lot of those builder presets in the images and renders that will show. So some fun stuff. 350 new.
So hopefully you'll be able to drag it straight onto your shot and just tweak it to what you need. But also it inspires you how to use S-Effect as well to create things like that you can share with your team.
Absolutely, and
there was some love as well for the fact that you annotate those S-Effects as well. You add little sticky notes in there to tell people what is going on. I think that's a very, very useful feature and something that you're very good at when creating those effects.
And thanks, Ben. Yeah. And we've also been very careful to add descriptions to everything now. A lot of the presets before didn't have descriptions. So read the description, because I know I have, and I know Ben has certainly put in things in there that will give you clues about why I created the preset, what it looks good with, how it looks best. Because obviously the shot that I use might not be the same as the shot that you use to drop a preset on. So definitely read the description and those sticky notes.
Absolutely. Thank you, John.
Yeah, get into
fantastic.
Thank you very much, John. Yep.
You're welcome.
Should we keep this train rolling?
Yes,
we've got the headliner coming up.
Let me bring him. Let me bring people back.
Oh, that was the bear coming out of his cave there. Give us a growl there.
Wait, Alan's still.
You told me I was the headliner.
Amazing.
You're the second headliner, John. Yeah, second headliner. Yeah. That's what we call you.
Always a bridesmaid.
Oh
yes.
I know. They made a film about you, so don't be upset.
That's right, yeah.
Nick, hello, welcome.
Well, hello. You guys,
Thank you for,
you guys have
for
been
still
busy.
being here.
Yes, we have
You
been
guys have-
busy.
Yeah, just it's like just going through everything from the beginning of the presentation. We're like now 2 hours and 19 minutes into this, and it's just it's incredible like what you can get for your value in Sapphire or the entire Boris FX bundle. I mean, we started off looking at Continuum and Particle Illusion, and now we'll finish looking at Continuum, but I'm impressed. And not to mention those presets. So cool.
Definitely. No, thank you. Thank you. It's definitely like, it's a good point. Like, there is so much in these releases. I mean, I mentioned to Ben earlier, a proper live stream breaking down these things would be the 6 to 7 hour mark, which you would see us a puddle on the floor right after that. But let's get into it.
You can see how well we've done keeping this to a tight 2 hours. So,
I mean, we're
so
only
yes,
20
Nick,
minutes
let's
past.
go.
I'm like,
All right.
I count this as a
Right.
win.
I
It's a
count
win.
big win.
All right. So I'll start this story off inside of Avid Media Composer. Okay, so come join me there. Can everyone see my screen okay? There we go.
Beautiful.
Okay. So I wanted to start the story talking about a few things that are new in the BCC Blur category. If you take a look at the left-hand side of my screen, specifically in the effect palette, a number of these blurs, the BCC Plus blurs, have gotten a lovely speed enhancement. Not to mention a series of presets that you can now utilize to do some quick-looking effects, whether it be in Avid or any host that supports Continuum. So let me start off. I'll actually just build this effect that's already here in my timeline from scratch. I'm applying a directional blur. And here in my effect controls, let's just hop inside the effect editor and see when you're trying to come up with a potential look. Obviously, I'm not going to want to have this entire image blurry, but we can look from and sift through a series of presets here. And once we discover one, very quickly start to adjust some of the properties or parameters directly inside the effects editor, or hop inside of Avid to do some finishing too. So I'll start off with a strong diagonal width here, number 8, and let's apply that. So we got a nice quick response time there with the blur. And in terms of properties, I'm going to bring down the blur Y to nothing and just stick with blur X, and also increase the blur value here, also doing it numerically inside of Avid. But in order to see a little bit of my image, we've been talking quite a bit about Mocha, but I wanted to mention Continuum and PixelChooser. So if you head down to this section of the effect and then turn PixelChooser on, while we do have the ability to go inside of Mocha, we also have some quick options directly that we can use inside of your interface. And in this particular case, I just want a really simple shape to use to have the subject appear within the blur. So let's hop inside the mask section in order to do this. You'll see just a series of handy shapes available. In this case, I'm going to choose the ellipse. It's the opposite way from what I want it to be. So I'll just invert that mask. And here with the feather, increase that to a value of 80. I'll also take advantage of just not having a complete ellipse. I find this tool pretty easy to use when it comes to making an adjustment like this. Not to mention just taking down the scale mask in order to kind of end up with a blur look. Let me feather that a little bit more. So this is just one of several mask tools that you can use in conjunction with the blur effect. And if you need to, you can always go into Mocha and take this a step further for those complicated situations, and sometimes even just situations where you want to go beyond the simple shapes. So that's one blur. And before I start to show this next blur, let me first of all head inside my bin and open up a new sequence. This is my favorite blur out of the group that's been added. It's Smear Blur. We can still find that directly inside the blur category here. as the BCC Plus smear blur. And I think what I love about this blur in terms of experimenting with it was really that there's a few different ways of being able to use it outside of the box besides what it's intended for. So right now I get a pretty nice blur. You can see here on the image, and I'll just do something really simple with this one where I'm going to take the center Y value for the blur and just scrub up on it a bit. So I try to get it in the center of the tower right here. When experimenting with this, there are some values down here, but one way to see what's happening is to actually bring down your smoothness value at the top of the effect to see that this blur is made of a series of steps. So I'll head here and we'll take a look at and see 3 steps. And we can see that even clearer if you start to play with the scale start and the scale end value. In fact, by scrubbing down the scale end and maybe increasing the scale start, we should start to see a bit of a stepping value if I change the smooth amount here for how the blur is being created. And through experimenting with this, I was able to kind of create a few different effects here specifically with the blur and almost creating these dissolve based effects where we have a blur on one side of the image and then through the replication of an image also have the dissolve of a subject coming in. So this is just a simple keyframe of those properties. If I hop back in to my main composition here, sorry, my main sequence here in a second, if I go to the bin and head to my window, here was another example of that. And just reflecting on the smoothness value being brought down to a very low amount, you now have sort of a mixture between a blur effect with a smear, but then playing around with a few different values inside of here can get you some pretty interesting transitions with blurs combined with dissolves. And one of those that I found was this fall off value here at the bottom. So just to bring John Dickinson into this for a second, I remember back in the day you used to have a website on After Effects experiments where you would take a few different obscure effects and try to combine and experiment with them, and bringing it back to even looking at SZAP where you have an effect that might scream out to you, hey, this looks like lightning. There's so many different things and directions that you can take it on with it through experimentation. And I think the same is true with some of these BCC Plus blurs. Okay, I have one more thing to show here. And some of these effects, this effect that I'm about to show in this new sequence, are a ton of different color looks, which was added to the Continuum family in a few releases ago. So if I head over here to the effect palette again, and let's head into the film style category, and I'm just going to apply BCC Plus looks to this clip. To really show, number one, if I head to the effects editor, the absolutely massive amount of presets that you have available to you for color correction looks. And not only that, but the ability that you could take one of these looks, you could tweak it, and then in any application that Continuum works in, we can then share these effects. Not to mention additional data information, which I'll get into in a second. Now, before I do, let me hop inside of here and just choose this black and white flashback look. I'll apply it, and new to these BCC Plus, the actual color correction effects in particular, the film style category, you're going to take, I'm going to head down into PixelChooser once again, and this has been added in this release. So I'm going to choose and turn this on again, and once again I can go and launch Mocha and do a track. But in this case, what I'd like to do is try to limit this black and white effect specifically to just the subject and bring back in a little bit of color of the green within the trees. And there happens to be under the, once we activate PixelChooser, and head into the matte section, a few different ways that we can grab onto the channel of a clip, and from that channel, whether it be the luma information, red, green, or blue, try to limit the effect to a specific region. In my experimentation, I'm just going to choose the blue channel here, and notice that the matte types that I'm working with are levels right now. But you have a bunch of different ways of where you can try to draw a matte out, whether that be threshold or range. But I'll stick to levels, and I'll start to lower the white level here. Now you could start to see how, by the black and white level adjustment, not to mention some pre-smoothing, I'm able to limit that effect to just a specific region of the image. So this is something that being able to kind of pull a color key using some of these effects, I think is super useful, especially with the entire BCC Plus looks, or if you're going to film stocks. Now let's continue this, because when we talk about all of these suites of plugins, one of my favorite things is just the ability to work cross-platform. And the story seems to continue that way, where opening up Sapphire to Photoshop and then being able to share workflow there in terms of motion graphics. And the story is the same with Continuum. In this case, I'll just add BCC Plus film stocks and apply it to the image. I'll go back to the effect editor so we can take a look at a bunch of beautiful, beautiful effects here that load up very quickly. And even with starting with a preset, this time I'll choose Cali type, and I'll limit making some changes here to some of those properties directly inside of the effects editor. And if you're new to this, keep in mind that there are multiple ways of comparing your clips and changing the view of how that effect is impacting your clip or clips that you've applied them to. I'll come down to the color correction section and just make a slight temperature change and a slight change to the saturation. And in these changes, let me see if I can make something a bit more visible by heading down to some sharpening, as well as entering a value here specifically for the vignette. There we go. So you can see I made a few changes there. I'm just going to head to the top where you can see I'm clicking on this little paper icon, and I have the ability to create a custom preset. And this is your way where I could take this effect, which is going to be loaded in a custom section, and from that I'll give this a name. I'll be the author. I'll call this Nix Cali type. I'll choose OK. And we can see that it's saved down here now in the presets, but you do have the ability to actually find out where this is stored on your system, this custom preset location. And now that this has been saved out in my film stocks, I'm just going to apply it to the clip, and all of a sudden I'll head over to Resolve. Here we go. And what was that, the effect? That was BCC film stocks, yeah? Let me apply that to the clip. Head to my effects over here, and in the effects editor, do a search. Let me just do a search for, and there it is. Obviously, I'm on the same system right now, but there are ways for you to discover where this is on your system, where you can share it with someone else who is on Resolve or in another host. And that's what I wanted to kind of show inside of Continuum. And it picks up from the beginning, also, of course, being particle illusion and some of those big fluid dynamic changes. And summing up the fact that we now have MFR support as well as M1. Very cool. Let me head back in and stop sharing my screen.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Very cool.
That was great. Yeah, that's. I really like what you did with like the blurs, and just stopped them from just being a blur and took them into a creative tool, because blurs are obviously one of the most important effects, and looking at that you can see why. It's a foundational effect.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it has these speed enhancements. And I just love the fact that with the smear that you can do some experimentation with all of the properties and parameters that are there, as well as just finding a starting point with a blur that is speed enhanced, especially if you're in a program like Avid, and being able to just make a few clicks and have your desired look.
Yeah, of course. And then on top of that, just the stuff that you can do with the PixelChooser to limit it to a certain area or to a certain, certain color or certain range of colors. That's, that's where stuff really starts getting fun to me anyway.
Yeah, it's built right into each of those BCC Plus effects, the PixelChooser. I think it's so cool. And you can also just kind of choose your masking journey, So you have simple shapes that you can access. You then have color tools. And it was just amazing to see how easy you were showing how to use Mocha inside of Avid, John, where you made a super simple shape, you did the track, and then you made a more complex shape, and voila, you have it linked. So I'm not trying to say that that's not simple, but there is some beauty to being able to just stay within your host for those situations where you don't necessarily need to hop into Mocha.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Nick, your first live stream presentation as a member of the team, and I would have to say,
It is.
Great job.
He's done it. He's done it.
Yeah.
Coming out right at the very, very right moment. Well done.
You're lucky I couldn't find an air horn sound effects, right? Or would be getting that right now. So
Yeah, beep, 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 beep.
all
I think I need the bagpipes.
yeah, that'd be nice.
Oh God.
All right.
All right.
All right, Ben.
Well, that's it. We've done all our presentations. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to say goodbye to all of our presenters. I think we'll then do the last competition winner, and then we'll say goodbye. So I'm going to say thank you very much to everyone who's been helping out today. So Alan, Lawrence, thank you very much for your particle illusion.
Thank you,
thing.
Alan.
Thank you very much. John, thank you very much for obviously staying with us, doing UltraZap and presets. Peter, obviously doing the best work in the chat there and helping out with all the Continuum questions for us. And Nick, it's great to have you on board. It's a real pleasure to see you in your Boris FX uniform now. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, this is I have to wear this all the time now during a webinar. It's like my signature.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Right.
didn't
No, not just during a webinar.
forgot to tell you
all the
that.
time.
Just
That's it.
same outfit.
Like a sticker, maybe, or something.
Yeah.
First of many to come. So excited.
Exactly.
We'll have to get you some Boris FX swag. All right.
No, dude.
All right, thank you very much,
All
guys. All right, let's
everyone.
get to it. Let's do
you,
the
John.
final big winner. Bye, everyone. The final big winner. Who is going to win the Boris FX Suite? So who could it be? Who's it going to be? Oh my goodness, here we go. We got it right there. That was a lot faster than I thought it was going to be. Glenn Hernandez, well done. Congratulations. You have won the annual subscription to the Boris FX Suite. That is everything that we make, including Continuum that we've just seen, Sapphire that we saw earlier, Mocha Pro, Silhouette, and Optics. So that's going to be an annual subscription, so you're going to get all of the new 2022 releases. For those people who didn't win, it's not too late to share in some of the fun. If you want to have a look at all of the new releases now, they are available as of the beginning of this live stream. So if you just head on over to borisfx.com, you will see all of the new information about Sapphire 2022 and Continuum 2022, where you can either purchase a license straight away, or you can download a free trial and give it a whirl for yourself. So obviously that is going to be with all of the hosts that we support. So if you scroll down just a wee little bit more, you can see all of the tech specs about these supported hosts, as well as why use Sapphire, who uses Sapphire. So we've got that for Sapphire, and of course for Continuum as well. If we take a little look at Continuum, look at that. Blazing fast blurs, as we just saw. Lots of new particle stuff.
I'm going to have to skip down. There's a lot in Continuum. There we go.
Keep it going. Oh, there we go. There we go. And all the supported hosts right there. This is great. Thank you everyone for helping to make this this launch live stream a lot of fun. Thank you very much for all of your questions. We look forward to seeing you again very soon.
One thing I just
Brian,
want to add
any final words? Yeah.
I just want to say, in case we haven't cleared, like, everything is available right now. Like, we got this all up and going for this live stream. We snuck it in. So all of the website has been updated. You can go check out all of the new features. Ben has done some amazing videos. John has done some amazing videos breaking down Sapphire and Photoshop, breaking down ColorFuse, right? Breaking down UltraZap, breaking down particle illusion, fluid dynamics. So all of that material is up on the website as of a couple hours ago. It is so fresh and so clean. You can smell the new car scent all over it. And the installers are live now as well. So if you go download Sapphire 2022 and Continuum 22, we're going to officially launch them all tomorrow, but you can get a head start tonight. So you can download a free trial. You can check them out. If you have a subscription, you can upgrade right now. If you're on an active UNS plan, you can upgrade. You can purchase a monthly subscription tonight to any of these products you saw today and start using them tonight. So it is all live and available right now.
Start using it. Start making stuff.
Right. And I have to acknowledge the development team at Boris FX, which really are the true heroes. Jason and the whole Continuum team, Larissa and the whole Sapphire team, doing all the coding, the big brains behind all of this stuff, getting it all together, getting it all up for our live stream. Thank you so much to, like I said, to Jason and the team and Larissa and the team. Thank you so much for all the work you do. So fun new toys to play with. Definitely download them and check them out.
Yep.
That's it. That's it.
That's it. That's it. We're done.
All right, Ben.
We're done. If you did miss any of this stream and you want to go back, they will be available on replay almost immediately after finishing the stream here live. All right, but for now, I'm Ben Brownlee. I want to say thank you very much to everyone for joining us. Thank you very much to Brian in Mission Control, and we will see you all again at Boris FX Live very, very soon. All right, take care, everyone. See you again soon. Bye for now.